All right, guys. So we got Eric dropping their earnings per share on 6.13 billion in sales. Today we got JPMorgan dropping theirs. BOK should have just dropped theirs for BOK. Let's see what BOK is. I'm a little bit late. All right, so here's BOK at the top right here. They might not be out. It doesn't look like they're out with theirs yet. Let me see if we got another source that we could use. Hold on one second. And so BOK did just drop their numbers. They dropped $9.06 EPS for BOK versus 847 estimates. So higher than expected estimates for BOK on EPS. Second quarter revenue came in at 4.46 billion. So they came in higher than expected for revenue, higher than expected for EPS. I'll put these numbers up on screen so you can see it. They came in at 80.16 billion net inflows. They're just not really up that much. All right, guys. BOK. Yeah, they did great. 928 beat the 846 estimate for EPS. Sales of 4.46 billion, missed the 4.47 billion estimates. AUM is at 11% up to 9.425 trillion. They got a lot of other results coming out. They had 831 billion increase in assets under management since the end of 2022, which is kind of a crazy stat right here for BOK. There's BOK right there. That's a crazy stat. Net inflows of 80 billion. We're putting all this stuff up on screen. All right, so you can see BOK. We got bank earnings today. Last do its pull. Will bank earnings help or hurt markets? So BOK is out with their numbers here. You can see them. JP Morgan up to 150s. JP Morgan drops theirs at 650. So it's it's 620 market time. All right, we're gonna get some music playing too. But yeah, we got Citigroup today at 8, Wells Fargo at 7, United Health at 555. So I think UNH is already out with their numbers. But yeah, there's BOK. This is not really reacting much to this. There's BOK. So yeah, they're just not really moving that much in pre-market. We did have United Health. Yeah, BOK is gapping up. BlackRock is at 746 in pre-market. So United Health is gapping all the way up to 461s. Look at United Health. So here's UNH gapping up to 460s. All right, so United Health Group ended up dropping second quarter adjusted EPS of 614 versus 657 a year ago. They beat the fact set consensus of 599. And so, here, where's my coffee, man? Hold on. Looks like their EPS came in higher than expected slightly. Yeah, but we'll put the United Health Group numbers up too. All right, so here's UNH. I'll try to put these under the BLK ones. These are the big ones. The big ones are going to be JP Morgan that drops um, whenever. The bank earnings drop early. All right. But yeah, most of the banks are gapping up today, guys. That doesn't mean anything yet. Oh, I got my headphones. Hold on. I'm going to switch to my other headphones. Hold on 1 second. All right. I can do this as well if it helps you see it, but yeah. Let me get the music playing here. All right, guys. So the next big earnings report that comes out this morning is that JP Morgan in about 10 minutes. JP Morgan drops theirs in 10 minutes. We'll see if they get anything good or not. Again, I don't know if they're going to be up, down, sideways. What's up with JP Morgan? Yeah, so JP Morgan is the next one that drops. They expect 362 EPS on 38.92 billion in sales. So we're going to put that up here. All right, so yeah, JP Morgan again is expecting 362 EPS on 38.92 billion. Were they hit or miss? Yeah, we do have United Health Group, which BDPS beat sales. We've got BLK, which BDPS missed sales. Again, JP Morgan expecting 362 on 38.92 billion in sales. With they hit or miss? Let me know. They dropped theirs in about 10 minutes. They might drop it early. Yeah. No, I'm showing JP Morgan drops theirs. Oh, yeah, you're right. It is in 20 minutes. I'm sorry. You're right. But yeah, United Health ripping up BLK. BLK doesn't ever really move that much in pre-market, but JP Morgan does. And so we'll watch JP Morgan. We also have Citigroup, Wells Fargo today, United Health, State Street, Ericsson. And yeah, JP Morgan's going to be the biggest influence for sure. It's the biggest bank in the world. It's going to be the biggest influence. So it's definitely something to watch. JP Morgan's going to be, again, the big one, most likely. Fix this. Nvidia at this point makes no sense. Yeah, man. I mean, sometimes stocks just make no sense, bro. You know, and that's okay. You know, sometimes they keep going up even though they don't make sense either. That's something I've seen a lot too in the market. I'm not saying Nvidia will. Earnings season is going to be where we see. Right, so Nvidia up to 460s, almost 470s yesterday. Huge run towards the end of the day ahead of bank earnings. All right, we are awake. Had to hit the coffee a couple times, but we are up. Yeah, so it's usually the regional banks that are going to struggle a little bit more than normal now, I think. Ripple kind of won the case against the SEC. Bitcoin ETFs might go through also if Bank of America uses Ripple. They may make gains for being the first to market with use case. Yeah, Nvidia, man. I kind of agree with you guys on Nvidia. Nvidia's just up so much. The problem with Nvidia though is like, okay, if we look at Nvidia and we see how much it's up, you know, over the last 24 hours. Really, if we look at how much it's up over the last couple days, Nvidia is up huge amounts, right? Like they're up big. A put option might be justifiable. I don't know, but it might be. You could also buy. Oh damn. You could also buy like the SOXS ETF, which is just a short microchip ETF. So like if microchips go down, it goes up. I think it's SOXS is the symbol. So if you just don't like microchips, or if you think they're inflated, that might be the one. The problem, though, the difference is like, okay, so if Nvidia does decide to keep running, which it could, like this thing's got a huge cultural following, like a huge following all the way around. If it does decide to keep running, which it could, shorts are in trouble if it does, you know, and it can. Like, it's not like it has to stop here. I think it's a little extended on the upside for sure, but like, it doesn't mean anything. The market's really just about mass psychology, and if everybody likes it, and if people get behind it and they start buying it up, and it starts this big, huge cycle of just purchases coming in, then it doesn't matter how extended it is on the upside. It could keep running, and that's the risk of buying put options. That's the risk of buying the SOXS. But if it does correct a little bit during this next earnings season, it depends when the next earnings come out for Nvidia is going to be massive. So the next earnings report comes out August 23rd. So you still got like a month and a half left before we get these Nvidia earnings. So I don't know. Not a meme stock for Nvidia, too large of a cap. Retail can't move it a bit. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, retail can move it, but it's going to take a lot more than like the AMC squeeze, I think. If you look at Nvidia's cap, Nvidia currently has a market cap of about 1.13 trillion for Nvidia. So yeah, it's going to be hard to move. But this thing could pump up. The earnings announcement for what? Yeah, so if I buy put options, it's not going to be short term. It's got to be longer term put options, and I'd have to see what they have. You know, like we can look at some that might be interesting, but anything I look at now, the prices are going to fluctuate so much by the time the opening bell happens, it doesn't matter. Let's see what some of these things are priced in at this point in time. So here's the Nvidia chains. All right, so These are call options. I'm looking at the chain of options, and there's a lot. These are 7. These are expiry same day. So I could go ahead if I want to. I could buy 100 days out put options that don't expire until mid-October. About 100 days put options in that regard. It's gonna be about $1,800 for a 405 strike price for Nvidia on the put side. If it's 455. So if we're a little bit closer at 455 for Nvidia, it's going to be like a lot. I'm trying to see the buying power implications. All right, so here's the symbol too. So I can't actually trade the symbol if I want. How do I copy this though? Strike. So here's the option if it lets me actually look at it, but I don't know if it will. Copy that. There's the intraday chart. Look at the intraday chart here, man. So I do like what the part where you can use a line graph to look up the intraday chart here. This is actually really useful. So here's the intraday chart. Look how crazy it's gone up percentage-wise for Nvidia. And again, we do have jpmorgan dropping their earnings pretty soon here. That's the big one that you're going to want to pay attention to. I think Nvidia puts should be closer to 500. Yeah, I'm not saying to buy puts. I'm just kind of looking at how much they cost now. But Nvidia is flying up. JP Morgan dropping their numbers pretty soon. BLK did drop their numbers here. You can see the BLK numbers right here. UnitedHealth came in better than expected EPS, better than expected sales. Yeah, I don't know. There's risks, to be honest, for sure. Yeah, the earnings call is definitely what we're going to pay attention to. Look at that toss as well. See what we got on toss. See what the options chain looks like on toss. All right, guys. JP Morgan dropping their numbers. And again, JP Morgan drops theirs pretty soon. They are expecting 362 EPS on 38.92 billion in sales. Will they hit or miss it? Let me know in the chat right there. Let me know. I wonder if I could pull these up on Moomoo as well. Let me see. Yeah, I wonder if it'll let me go into the chart. Well, you multiply each price of the option contract by 100, right? Okay, so yeah, you got to multiply by 100. So this price for the one in October, which is risky, because if it's something where it's a small risk, it's one thing. But if it's something where it's a big risk, it's a different thing. You know. I don't know about JP Morgan. Eurozone trade balance. JP Morgan beat. We don't know yet. We're waiting. They're still not out with theirs yet. This will be one of the first ones to report. So yeah, we're still not out with JP Morgan earnings yet. Not yet. Yeah, when I'm looking over at these options, so to get the 455 put option, like there's no way I would want the 405 one. You could buy a 405 one for like $1,800, I think. You want to buy the other one. It's going to be like $4,000 if somebody wants to buy the 455 put option. So, which honestly still might be kind of worth it. I don't know. And I think when we open today, there's going to be new ones. How do you choose what stocks to buy dips on? Well, I look for blue chip healthy companies that are pulling back and that are weak short term. It's a long system, and but yeah, I look for short term healthy companies. Yeah, Goldman Sachs doesn't do theirs until next week. So Goldman Sachs drops their earnings not today, but Monday, I think. It's either Monday or I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday next week. Yeah, so it's Tuesday. So Tuesday, we got Bank of America, Schwab, Morgan Stanley, Lockheed Martin, Prologis, Bank of New York, PNC, Mercantile, Synchrony, Novartis, and Cambridge Bank. All dropping Tuesday. So those are pretty big. Wednesday, we got IB, JB Hunt, Pinnacle, United Community, Hancock Whitney, and a bunch of other ones as well. So what time are the bank earnings? I've seen the earnings call is at 8:30, but when are the earnings themselves? Okay, so BLK and so BLK is already out. So BLK dropped their numbers. UnitedHealth dropped their numbers, and Ericsson dropped their numbers as well. JP Morgan is at 6:50, which is in about 6 minutes for JP Morgan. Citigroup is at 8 a.m. Wells Fargo is at 7 a.m. So JP Morgan is in about 6 minutes. Wells Fargo is in about 16 minutes. And then Citigroup is at 8 a.m., which is in like an hour and 16 minutes. But right now, we're waiting for JP Morgan. Here's Nvidia. We're looking at BLK today. BLK dropped earnings for BLK. We're also, they already came out with theirs. And again, you can kind of see all of their numbers right here. Here's BLK right here at the bottom of the screen. They came in at 928, beat the 846 estimate. Sales of 4.46 billion, missed the 4.47 billion estimates. So slight miss on sales, better than expected EPS for BLK. AUM is up 11% to 9.425 trillion. UnitedHealth came in at 614 EPS, beat the 601 estimate. Sales of 92.9 billion, beat the 91 billion estimates for UNH. Then we also had Ericsson. Which they dropped 2-cent loss per share, missed the 4-cent profit estimate. Sales of 6.12 billion, missed the 6.13 billion estimate. So Ericsson missed. I'll put those numbers up in chat. But yeah, now we're waiting on JP Morgan, which drops in about 4 minutes, and they could ultimately drop anytime now for JP Morgan. We're just kind of sitting here waiting. They could drop it whenever. So we're just waiting for their numbers to come out. We got the list right here that we can watch. Microsoft was upgraded to a buy from neutral at UBS with a price target raised to 400 from 345. Putting all this news up in chat as well so you can catch it. Nvidia PE currently 240. It's going to correct even more than that at the opening bell too. What does Nikola do yesterday? Yesterday was crazy. I'm not sure. Nikola did pop up, but I don't trust Nikola at all. Aren't they the ones that rolled the semi truck down the hill? All right, JPMorgan coming out with theirs. It looks like their numbers just dropped. Look at the pop up on JPMorgan short term and pre-market today. Let's see what they showed. JPMorgan gapping up to 152.50. They might be out. All right, JPMorgan did just drop their numbers. They posted second quarter revenue of 41.3 billion, which was better than the 38.92 billion estimate. EPS of 475, better than the 362 estimates. And so JPMorgan just came out with theirs. They did better than expected EPS, better than expected sales. They are gapping up to about 152 right now in pre-market. We will put their chart up on screen here. But yeah, JPMorgan up to 152 right now. Adjusted EPS came in at 437 versus 362. Sales came in at 41.3 billion, better than the 38.92 billion estimates. They had commercial bank revenue show up at 4 billion, return of common equity at 20%, non-interest revenue came in at 20.5 billion. Corporate investment bank revenue came in at 12.5 billion. Net interest income came in at 21.9 billion. Return on tangible common equity was at 25%. In book value for JPMorgan was up 14%. And again, they posted a $1.8 billion second quarter gain related to the First Republic transaction when they bought out First Republic FRC around March, if I remember correctly. But yeah, they are out with their data here. Again, we're going to put these numbers up on screen, but they did better than expected. Right, so yeah, JPMorgan does better than expected on EPS, showing 437 per share on adjusted EPS versus what did they show? So this was versus a 362 estimate. Revenue came in at 41. So yeah, revenue came in sales of 41.3 billion. 38.96 billion. And yeah, basically pretty good results here. They're gapping up now. Put this up as well. There's JPMorgan's numbers, better than expected. They are gapping up there at 152.20s for JPMorgan right now, 152.20s. And you can see all this right here. They are moving. Here's JP. I got Nikola at 152, but sold early. Yeah, JPMorgan's numbers just dropped. That's why they're gapping up some. Their numbers just came out. The earnings can come out a little bit early. That's pretty normal. All right, so better than expected numbers for JP here. We'll see if they continue this run. They hold. I like earnings too because one of my favorite things to do, one of my favorite ways to trade that has turned out to be incredibly profitable for me as a whole is I'll sit back and I'll wait for a good blue chip company to drop good earnings or at least decent earnings and then drop like 10%. If they dropped 10%, they showed good earnings and they were extended ahead of time, and I think they're a profitable long-term company, I'll buy that dip and I'll sit on it. And a lot of times within 24 hours, the stock will bounce back pretty big percentages. Certainly not 100% of the time, certainly not every time. It's just a guess, a gamble. But that's one of my favorite things to do here, and that's made me some money typically during earning seasons. We'll see if we end up doing it some more. Yeah, I'm bullish on Disney. So yesterday on Disney, what happened is that Disney popped up to 91.50s. I told people that Disney would run. I took profit when that happened. Ended up buying back on the dip in the 90s for Disney. So like we rode Disney up, took profit, and then waited for it to pull back some, and then bought the dip on Disney, and now we're sitting in it again. Anyone ever tell you that you were top 5 at this market stuff? Bro, top 5's an insult, dude. Top 3, bro. I got to be top 3, man. Top 3 greatest stock and analysts of all time ever in the world, for sure. Top 3, 100% ever. Did I say ever? Yeah. No, but thank you, man. I appreciate it. Why would they drop 10% at good earnings? I know, listen, it sounds like it's nonsensical, and it is, and that's why I buy it, right? Like you might say, hey, why would anything drop on good earnings? Man, earnings season, like a lot of new traders don't really understand what I mean. So like, okay, a company can have great earnings and drop 10%. And a company can have bad earnings and fly up 10% because of one small nuance in the earnings report. And so one of my favorite things to do, and it's not going to happen every time, of course, is to wait for blue chip healthy companies to drop not even good earnings, but just like not bad earnings. Like one time, here's an example. Netflix dropped their earnings report, right? Or I think it was Snapchat. Netflix ended up dropping like 20% on their earnings report on mixed results. Like they had better than expected EPS, they missed sales or something like that, and they dropped 20% from it. 20%. Amazon dropped from like 110s, I think, down to like $90. And I bought that dip immediately after the drop, and within a 24-hour period, Amazon had bounced all the way back to over 100. So over 10% gain in like a day or two. And I sold pretty quickly too on that. And so that's one of my favorite things. And the great thing about it is that I can use it with my swing trades. Like I can do the same thing on my swing trades that I do on my day trades, right? Like I can do the same thing, but I just have to be patient. It's all about selectivity. Like if I can be selective, this strategy will generally work. I can't guarantee it's always going to work. I don't know. But diversifying into a bunch of different examples of this and then letting just time play out usually works. The only hiccup in this strategy right now, and jpmorgan just broke highs again at 153.20s here, guys. 153.20s. Yeah, it's all good, Alexis. Like I said, I know you're just asking. It's all good. But again, like, okay, think about it like this. New traders sometimes think that making money on earnings is easy, right? I'm here to tell you it is not easy at all. A lot of new traders will think, hey, I'm just going to wait for a company to have good earnings and then buy them, right? Like JP Morgan dropped good earnings, they're pushing up. And sometimes this will happen, where good earnings will come out and the stock will push up like JP Morgan. And with those, that's great. I hope people make money on them. What I'm here to tell you, though, is that earnings are not this simple. If it was easy enough to where you could just wait for earnings to drop that were positive, buy those stocks and just kind of sit back letting it go up, everybody would be rich. The problem with earnings is that this does not happen a lot of the time. Like a lot of the time, a company will drop bad earnings and go up, or a company will drop good earnings and go down, and the reactions are nonsensical. And so it's not as easy as just waiting for a company to have good earnings and buying them, because a lot of the time, if you try to do that, you'll buy a company that reports good earnings and then the company will just crash down huge percentages. And so with that in mind, I kind of take my swing trading strategy and I make it longer term, in which I do the same thing for blue chips. I wait to see nonsensical reactions. I look for overreactions is really how I label it. I look for overreactions in earnings. I look for a company that has great earnings to drop huge percentages. Not even great earnings, just not bad earnings. Like good EPS, miss on sales or something like that. If they drop 20% and they're a healthy long-term company, I'll buy them. And if they go in my favor in the next couple weeks, great. I'll take some profit. If they don't, but I think they're a long-term company, I'll sit on them longer if I need to as well. And I'll just kind of wait for them to rebound. And a lot of the time they will, And so it's hard to understand, but I did this a lot. And again, it's one of those situations where I'll buy these companies and people will just hate on it. Like I did this with SQ. SQ had a yeah. Look at SQ now. So SQ had that Hindenburg short report come out. Like that Hindenburg short report came out, basically talking smack about them. SQ ended up dropping like pretty big percentages. If you look at a daily chart, this happened right around. Man, I can't remember when this happened. This happened this year. I'm trying to think of when this craziness happened for SQ. I want to say it was maybe right here. Yeah, so right here you can see SQ dropped from like 80s all the way down to 50s because of a Hindenburg short report. And when I read the report, the complaints that I was seeing regarding SQ were not convincing. Like it looked like they just wanted to push it down so they could short it, so they could make money on the short side, right? And so after that, I ended up buying the dip when SQ was at like the 50s. SQ was at the 50s and it dropped from $80 to $50, and it looked really weak. But I thought Cash App and SQ were going to be fine. It was a big company. It made money. And so I bought the dip with it, and I had a lot of people that were hating on it. Like a lot of people were like, "Oh no, what a terrible buy! Like this guy's gonna end up just losing everything. Like watch." And within a week, I think SQ had bounced back from the 50s to the high 60s. So very big percentage gains in a short period of time. And then everybody that was hating on the trade just kind of silent afterwards, because that's kind of how it goes. I trade extension. And I can't guarantee anything's going to work, but that's my favorite thing to do. And if I can find a healthy company that people are underestimating, or something that's down big that I think is going to be fine long term, I'll buy it up and just wait. And that's worked really well for me, but I can't guarantee it's going to work well for everybody else. Yeah, no, all good, Alexis. Yeah, you'll probably be able to watch me during this earnings season take a couple of these trades. But again, I'm going to preface it all with like, I can't guarantee you're going to make money, but it works. Yeah, well, guidance, you might think it's the guidance. Some stock, a lot of the time it's not guidance. Like, yeah, sure, if a company can drop good EPS, good sales, but if their guidance is weak, which is future projections, they can still tank down. And that's very true, right? But I usually don't do it with stocks that have bad guidance moving forward. Not unless everything else is like shiningly good. So it's not like, so I pay attention to guidance as well. And guidance is probably the more important metric over everything else, the most important metric over everything else. But it varies. Sometimes the reactions are just nonsensical. Sometimes you just get big drops on healthy companies that have like average results, that not even good, not even bad, but just average, but they're just overreacting on the downside. Those are usually my favorite ones to buy, but they have to be large blue chips. They can't be, they can't be BBIG or CEI or something like that, Hey, when is Palantir earnings? Palantir earnings are supposed to drop sometime soon. All right, so there's Wells Fargo. So Wells Fargo just dropped 125, beat the 115 estimate for Wells Fargo. Sales of 20.53 billion, beat the 20.07 billion estimate. So Wells Fargo just dropped their numbers. We will put them up in chat right here. Here's Wells Fargo. They did drop theirs, and they are gapping up nicely to it. So they're gapping up from about 43s all the way to 45s for Wells Fargo. There's Wells Fargo on the left here. So Wells gapping up a little bit. This might help bank sentiment even more. But yeah, Wells Fargo out. They posted 125, beat the 115 estimate. Sales of 20.53, beat the 20.07 estimates. And so again, I'm going to put these up here so you can see them. Yeah. All right, so here's Wells Fargo. Again, gapping up nicely from this data. Gapping up big. Palantir earnings. Okay, so Palantir's in a little bit less than a month. Those are going to be big too, man. And I have some Palantir. John, what do you think of Humana? Down 52-week low. What's the symbol for Humana? What's your favorite source of news? I mean, I use Moomoo a good bit, to be honest now. One of the reasons, like the hard sells for Moomoo, it might seem like I'm making a plug, and I kind of am, but like I do truly use Moomoo as as like something I use to watch news and markets. What I'll do is like on the day. All right, I'll show you. All right, so here is like Wells Fargo, for instance. So I can go to Wells Fargo here, and this is me building a watch list, and it'll give me like a full detailed analysis of Wells Fargo right here. So you can kind of see, it'll give me, you can't see it. It's actually right behind me, look. But like Wells Fargo jumps 57%. Gap earnings, it shows what they came in at versus what they missed. What their analyst consensus was. Net interest income came in at 13.16 billion. Express News, second quarter efficiency ratio was 63%. And so I can see kind of everything here. It shows me what it's shortable, marginable financing rate. The PE ratio is 12.63 for Wells Fargo. So some of these bank stocks I am going to be interested in buying up, especially if we pull back some. What is JP Morgan's PE ratio? And yeah, if you want to check out Moomoo, like I said, you get a bunch of free stocks if you sign up. I'm biased, of course, in their favor, but I have been using them. They're just a good news source for news. They've got their own financial calendar as well, which just makes it useful. And again, I previously I used TOS. Like TOS is great for it too, to be honest. But like you get a bunch of free stocks if you sign up to Moomoo, and I'll post this link here. But yeah, again, I genuinely use. Did I just hit the heart button on the comment? Go away, heart button. I don't want you there. There you go. But yeah, so Wells Fargo is interesting. What is the PE ratio of JP Morgan? JP Morgan PE is 11. So I might buy this dip for JP Morgan, to be honest. I think I'm going to buy this dip. Again, don't copy me. This is not one of those trades I was talking about earlier. Okay, this is not one of the trades I was talking about earlier. I'm going to take 50 shares of JP Morgan, and we are filled. All right, good. So we're in 50 shares of JP Morgan. Again, it's not one of the trades I was talking about earlier. Yeah, the heart button, SoFi. Does anybody know if TOS has a closing price indicator? So I have the previous closing price script if you want it, but it's a custom script that I used to use on TOS. If you want the script, I can give it to you. You just got to join the Discord, and I'll send it to you for free. If you want it. All right, but yeah, we did buy a little bit of JP Morgan. Wells Fargo did drop. SoFi, Palantir, what about SOUN? I'm thinking of grabbing a bunch. Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you feel about those. I would be careful going super hard into these AI stocks. I think there's risks. But again, anything can happen. Good luck, man. I hope you kill it, man. I hope you make some money on those trades, bro. And you can. I'm not sure. Aren't JP Morgan supposed to be released in an hour? So, no, JP Morgan numbers are out now. The earnings call might be in an hour. So the earnings call for JP Morgan might be at like 8:30 or something. And we could cover the earnings call too if you guys want. That's going to be the biggest earnings call today for sure. So it's at 8:30 a.m. I could stream the full thing if you guys want. Let me know. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, just go to join the Discord. If you go to the main chat, just say, hey, I'm looking for the previous closing price script. And I'll show you how to do it too. All right, guys. Yeah, but Tesla earnings next week are really what sparks off earnings season, to be honest. Like, that's where the big boys are usually going to start moving. All right, so we did buy JP Morgan here on Moomoo, and then we are moving up some afterwards. So we did buy JP Morgan. We are moving up a little bit afterwards. We're flat on the trade so far. I'll take it though. Here's my profit graph though, dude. I'm actually really pumped about my profit graph here on JPMorgan. Or not in JPMorgan, I mean on Moomoo. So like just me trading on Moomoo. Like I've been swing trading, day trading a little bit. Here's my profit graph. Like that's my profit graph on Moomoo. So it's actually pretty solid. Like we're doing okay. We're gonna see if we can keep that up. But that's my profit graph. Pulled directly from my platform. I think regional banks might affect the market more because during the SVB debacle, a lot of people fled out regional banks to the big banks, so a lot of small bank lost deposits, 100%. And I think because of that, like I'm super confident in JP Morgan long term. JP Morgan's obviously going to be okay. If JP Morgan's not okay, we got much bigger problems than being right about a stock pick. So because of that, JP Morgan might be one of those stocks that I buy up. If we look at a 5-day chart for JP Morgan, it's up a lot. And heading into this earnings season, they did well on earnings. And so, it's one of those things where a lot of the time, regardless of what other bank companies do, if JP Morgan's good enough, they might be a solid hold, So the next earnings that dropped this morning are for Citigroup. Citigroup drops their numbers this morning. And then we got State Street at 7:40 Eastern. So we got State Street in about 30 minutes. And then we got Citigroup. And then JP Morgan earnings are going to be streamed here at about 8:30 market time. Or it might be, wait, let me see. Yeah, so 8:30 market time is when JP Morgans are going to come out. And so we got about an hour and a half before that drops. And I guess we'll cover all of it. But yeah, look at the JP Morgan chart here. Here's the intraday chart, so you can kind of see like in pre-market, this is what JP Morgan's doing. It's gapping up nicely. Again, you can look at a candlestick chart if that's better. It could be something where we add to it, but again, it's got to be a long-term trade. Like we're down a little bit on the trade. Again, maybe it's something where we add to it. See if I can get filled on this rest. Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah, as long as it fills me, I'm okay with being it right there. It had good earnings, good sales, good numbers. For non-Americans, how many hours until bank data releases? What do you mean type? Bank data release is coming out today, bro. The next one's Tuesday. And again, here's Wells Fargo. Here, I haven't even pulled up the Discord. My bad. I know the dude was asking for the script. Here, I'll find it. I'll show you how to use it too on TOS. I think you could probably use one on Moomoo too. I might have to try to find that. Catch him back. All right, so yeah, you want to do it to the main day trading chat. The main day trading chat's where you want to post it. I'll post the script right now, just so people can see it, because the previous closing price script is a script that I have on TOS. So here's TOS. You can see on TOS, this light blue line right here is the previous closing price script. So this light blue line right here. I go to edit. I go to edit study. Or no. I go to studies. Edit studies. I find this, which is right here. I go to the little toolbar. I have to go find the script, man. It's been so long since I've actually used it. All right, so I'm gonna have to go find it back in our Discord somewhere. Let me find it. It's somewhere here, guys. All right, so here's the script right here. So the previous closing price script is this. I'm gonna paste it to the chat so it's new. So just paste it to the chat. So if you want to put the script on TOS, right? You go to studies, You go to edit studies. You go to create right here. You delete this line of code, and then you add this updated line of code. It's a custom script. Copy everything below the line I specify, like this. You select OK, you hit apply, and boom, you got the script. So that's it. You go to studies, edit studies, create. You delete everything, paste in what I put there, and then that's the script. And then it'll automatically show you the previous closing price on Moomoo. I got to create another one on TOS. I could probably create another one for Moomoo. Yeah, what's up, Jay? So which one? Yeah, a lot of them dropped. So we got JP Morgan. We got Wells Fargo out with their numbers. All of them are doing pretty good. So all of them, almost all of them beat EPS. And if you don't know what EPS is profitability. So almost all of them came in more profitable than expected. The revenue is varying. Most of them are still beating in revenue, but EPS was certainly pretty profitable. The Dow today up to about 34.4 thousand. Up a little bit. The Nasdaq's up 1.5%. The S&P's up a little bit less than 1%. Yeah, JP Morgan's been out. Again, you can kind of see JP Morgan numbers. Where did I put JP Morgan? I already dropped JP Morgan here. It looks like I might have accidentally deleted them. But yeah, JP Morgan numbers are right here. There's JP Morgan right there. We'll put these up, and then we'll put JP Morgan numbers up as well. All right, so here's both Wells Fargo and JP Morgan right there, so you can see both of them. All right, so JP's starting to bounce back. Again, we are holding a little piece, and then I will take profit if it doesn't work in my favor short term. Thank you for your live feeds. Hey, no worries, Joe. Thanks for the support, man. All right, JP Morgan's starting to pop back up. My average is about 152.80s for JP Morgan. 152.80s is my average. Low 152.80. So we're at 152.75. So we're pretty close to my average here. Thoughts about Tesla yesterday and going into earnings next Wednesday? I believe it's going to pump into and after earnings. Possible. I'm not sure, what they're going to do, but it's possible they do something here. Tesla, great day yesterday. Ripped all the way up to basically 280s. All the way up to 280s. All right, so that is, we are now effectively green in my JP Morgan trade here. We're up to 152.80s. We got 75 shares of JP Morgan here. 75 shares. Yeah, again, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it. Ooh, nice little pop. Let's see if it holds. $148.87s for JP. Just kind of sitting tight. I'll give it some time. Bank earnings were pretty positive, though. little dip. We're not going to hold it super long. If it cuts down here, I think I need to exit some of the position. I'll give it time, though. I mean, I don't mind letting it work. I don't mind this up wick either, or this down wick, but I'll give it some time. You know, I want to let it consolidate. It starts to break under this, I'll probably cut it, but it's got to be a long-term trade. Let me look at what this is. Yeah, so I don't mind JPMorgan here. Give it a little bit of time. I want to see if it can break 153s. Yeah, what do you guys think Tesla's going to do for earnings? Does Tesla beat or miss earnings? Let me know. What do you guys think? Do they hit or miss earnings? Beat? Yeah, so Tesla next week, guys, is expecting Wednesday the 19th is when the earnings come out. Tesla is expecting 82-cent profit on 24.53 billion in sales. Let me know if you guys think it'll hit it or miss it. All right, look at Wells Fargo start to creep up here. So Wells Fargo popping up a little bit. Again, what I really like, honestly, is this intraday chart right here. It actually shows me on a line graph like what the profit or what the stock is doing in pre. And I think that's very useful. Beat also. What's up, Shepard? I hope they hit. Maybe. What's up, Sean? Beat. Yeah, we'll see. Beat but drop on margin compression. Maybe. Beat by a landslide. Miss. Beat. Yeah, let me know what you guys think regarding Tesla here. Tesla's had a big run. They really have. They've had a pretty big run. I'm not saying they're going to continue it or not, but they've had a pretty big run. Miss, beat. Cybertruck will also be in play. Yeah, for sure. Everybody's going to be watching to see if they mention the Cybertruck. That's going to be like the big story. Is like, are they going to mention the Cybertruck? You know, and I have no idea what they're going to do, but y'all can hear my music, right? You should be able to. Tesla big run. Come on, look at Nvidia. That's a big run. Bro, they're all big runs, honestly, dude. Tesla's a pretty big one, man. Nvidia's a crazy big run, too. The question is, does Nvidia hold the gains that it's put in? That's a different story, man. I don't know. Again, the question is, do they hold the gains? I really have no idea. I think they could. But I think Tesla, nah, bro. I think if you look at Tesla a year ago was at $100, right? Less than a year ago. Yeah, Tesla 6 months ago was at $100 a share. They are now at 280s. 280s. It's a pretty big run, despite anything else. Yeah, Coinbase with the news on the potential spot ETF. Coinbase over $100 for the first time in a long time, and I'm happy to see it. I mean, I don't really trust centralized exchanges and crypto, to be honest, but Coinbase over $100 is great. It's great. We'll see if it holds. Hey, what's up, Jamie? Do we have Michigan consumer sentiment today? I think we might. Let me see what. Today's the 14th. All right, so I don't think we have anything today. We got import-export prices, Michigan consumer sentiment expectations. So that might be relevant and interesting to pay attention to. We'll see. So we do have that data drop at 10. Import-export prices come out today. It's not really a super relevant thing, though. And again, it is 7:20 market time. 7:20 market time. We're still waiting for the rest of the earnings to drop today. Specifically, we have Citigroup at 8 a.m., which it's 7:20, so we got 40 minutes for that. State Street drops in about 20 minutes, or so about 20 minutes at 7:40 for State Street. So we'll see if that happens as well. But those are the rest of the earnings for today. We did have Wells Fargo today. You can kind of see they're gapping up nicely to like 43.70s. JPMorgan is up big today. We also had UnitedHealth come in with a beat on both. Wells Fargo is out, like I said. BLK beat on EPS, missed on sales. Ericsson missed on EPS. I think they beat on sales. So that is where we are now, guys. And let me know what you think. Nvidia was at 118 in October. I know, listen, I'm definitely not arguing that Nvidia is not a bigger run than Coinbase. Of course, Nvidia is the larger run, but if Nvidia is a bigger run than anything else, to be honest, right now in the market, except for like maybe a sketchy penny stock. At some point, Nvidia broke down. Will Nvidia correct? I don't know. I think it's possible that eventually Nvidia comes back down, but we'll see. What do you guys think? Hey, what's up, Tobias? Good morning. Good morning. Y'all do me a favor. Bump that like button. Hit the notification bell. Hit the subscribe button, team. I definitely appreciate it. Thank you so much. Help us grow. Help the growth continue here. The question is, I think the big question today, despite bank earnings, is does Nvidia hold its gains? I don't know. That's the big question, I think, though. It has to be the big question. At 463.70s for Nvidia. Does it hold its gains? Does it push up to break highs? Does it pull back and correct like some people think? And again, I'm not sure. Nvidia was 150 6 months ago. Yeah, it's been crazy, honestly. It really has been a crazy run for Nvidia. I might take a little bit of this this jpmorgan trade-off. I didn't realize it had such a big range, and I'm kind of regretting it. It might not be great for me. But I'm going to take a little bit of this off because I don't trust it here. Again, I'm going to accept the $20 loss for taking half of this off and then let the rest be a lot more loose. So I want to sell. So I want to sell the bid. All right, so we are out with 30 shares. So we only got 45 shares left. A much smaller position. Yeah, we took a $20 or $30 loss there. But again, I'm noticing the range is much larger than I anticipated when I bought 75 shares. I made a risk mistake in JP Morgan. I think this could still certainly bounce, but I don't trust it because if it pulls back what would normally be a small percentage, I could still lose a lot. And so I need to give it a little bit more room. And in order to do that, I got to take a little bit of it off and just accept the 20 or 30 bucks. Well, first time here and liking the flow. Hey, thank you, Kay. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, we are we cover all the big reports, Kay. So we cover all the major bank earnings, all the economic data. You know, you see a lot of people starting to cover economic data. A lot of them were like old AMC YouTubers and stuff like that. I'll tell you this, most of them just started covering that data over the last 30 days. They don't really understand a lot of what they're talking about in terms of CPI and PPI and jobless claims and retail sales and PCE and what the different nuances are regarding all of that stuff. They're just kind of covering it to get views. We've been covering this stuff for a while now. You know, we cover every CPI report, and we have for the last year straight. And so if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We are completely free. We don't sell a course. We don't sell a service ourselves. We don't claim to be experts. I don't even claim to be a good trader. We just report on economic data for free. And we typically get thousands of people here for the big ones because we cover it fast. So if you haven't yet, subscribe. We certainly appreciate it. Are you surprised AI stock is holding? A little bit. To be honest, that again, the earnings season is going to be the real tell here with AI. So earnings for C3 come out August 30th. So we still got a long time. And again, we were one of the only people covering C3 earnings. So we were if you guys remember, we were one of the only people that actually streamed C3 earnings call a couple months ago. But they don't drop theirs for another month and a half, which is okay. That'll end earnings season because the last one ended earnings season last time. So that's okay. So, hey, JP Morgan bouncing back up here. So I guess I could have stayed on that 30 share position. But again, I'm going to try to give this time. Ideally, my profit target's up here at like 154.50s or so. If I can hit that, we're doing pretty well. Yeah, definitely top 3 coverage of all time ever in the world for sure. Top 3. UPST went from 12 to 47 in 2 months. Yeah. Hey, happy Friday. It's Friday. You ain't got no job. and you ain't got ish to do but watch beginner trading on YouTube. All right, we're at 152.90s for JP Morgan. And so the trade would have worked if I would have held in it. Maybe I should have. 93s. All right, we're going to let Nvidia keep popping up. It's at about 153s right now. We'll see if it holds. I want to give it time, though. I'm not going to take profit here. We're down a negligible amount on the day. John, what's a good rural county in Texas to live? Whew, there's so many of them. Shepard, there's so many of them. There really are. Do you want like country, or do you want like suburbs, like a mix of suburbs and country? You know, depends on what you're looking for. Will coin retrace? I think coin is going to be dependent on what Bitcoin does. So like Bitcoin has been on a crazy run. The ETF, it depends on what that ETF and all that stuff does. Here's Wells Fargo starting to surge up too. So Wells Fargo is starting to make some moves as well this morning. The banks are really strong, I think. They're really strong. Country like acres. Oh, you want to look in like Willis, Texas, or yeah, like you want to look at like Willis. You can look at like Magnolia. You can look at there's just honestly there's so much of that here. You could look at Conroe, Willis, Magnolia, Egypt, New Waverly. You know, cut and shoot, all pretty solid. All right, look at these pop-ups here. Hey, we are now green on the day on this trade. So I'm going to go ahead and take about half of this position off with 20 more shares. Let's see if I can get in on the mid price, though. All right, boom, filled, done. All right, so now we are actually effectively okay on this trade. We'll let the rest ride and see if we get some more time. I mean, I'm going to go with areas around me. So I'm a little biased there. What do you think about Shopify? I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical of Shopify for a few different reasons. The main one is this, okay? And again, I'm biased. I'm going to preface everything I'm about to say with like, look, I'm biased regarding Shopify. I really am biased, okay? But I think a lot of Shopify's business is propped up by drop shippers, and I think the drop shipping industry is sleazy, you know, and I'm explain why. All right, so don't hate me for saying this, but like drop shippers, if you don't know what drop shipping is, it's basically advertising a product, and then if somebody buys it through your, you know, through your store, you basically then go to another store and buy it from there for a cheaper price. So say a product is selling for $5. You place an ad on Shop, or you place an ad on somewhere for $10, and you wait for somebody to buy it, and then you keep the $5 difference and you order it yourself and just ship it to them, right? That's what drop shipping is. The problem with it is that people make more money. Hey, there we go. We are pushing up even more now. Again, I'm going to sit on the rest, but nicely green here. Hey, you love to see it. The problem, though, is that people probably make more money selling courses on how to drop ship than people do from actually drop shipping. The margins are not good. And so it's something where, like, you'll see a lot of gurus trying to sell courses on drop shipping. They'll be like, yeah, I did $10,000 a month in sales. And it's like, bro, $10,000 a month in sales means nothing. It means nothing. You know, the margins are probably what? You're making like $1,000 a month. In actual profit with 10K a month in sales. And so it's just a sleazy market. And I think a lot of Shopify is propped up on that. And I think if the industry that's propping up Shopify is drop shipping, then Shopify is kind of it might be in for a struggle. All right, we're going to take a little bit more off of JP Morgan. We are right up to where I said I'd like to take profit. Feel me? Try it again. There we go. Filled. Done. All right. So, yeah, we have locked in profit. We are now green on JP Morgan. Nicely green. I will take it. I want to move from New York back to the South. I was thinking Bama, Texas, South Carolina, originally from Florida, so living in the North doesn't feel like home. Yeah, I mean, I've never really been to New York like that. I've been to New York, but I've never actually like been to New York. I've been to Chicago. I used to take a Greyhound station up north, or a Greyhound bus up north. Like my mom didn't have enough money to buy me like a plane ticket, and she used to live in Sault Ste. Marie in Batchewana, Canada. You know, and we didn't have enough money for a plane ticket. And so what they used to do when I was like 18, when I was like 16, 17, 18, is they would just slap me on a Greyhound bus. And I would take the Greyhound bus from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, up to like Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, you know, or it was like, I can't remember where it was in Michigan, but to like Kalamazoo and stuff. It was actually pretty sketchy in hindsight. Looking back on it, it was kind of sketchy. Like I remember at the Greyhound station. Y'all don't want to go to that Greyhound station in Chicago. I'll tell you that. That's a rough place. I had like this. I had just people try to scam me, rip me off, bro. It was rough. But it was fun. I got to see the world. I met a lot of people. Like I would like swap CDs. Like I remember I had the old Plies CD, which is like an old rap CD, and like I would trade CDs with the other kids on the bus, and like we would be listening to CDs and stuff. Young Jeezy's old CD, I remember we had that one. But yeah, would I do it to my kids now? No. I just buy them a plane ticket at this point. But point is, I've seen Chicago. I've seen I used to have to go. Sometimes I would take a train, and so I would go up to. All right, so we're still pushing up. We're at the 153.50s area for JPMorgan. So we are at the profit target I originally gave myself here for JPMorgan. I'm going to take another little piece off just to lock it in, and then I'll be a little bit more patient on the rest. Fill me. Give me a better fill than this. Come on. There we go. Filled. All right. And now we can be really patient on the rest. We've made money on this. We'll see if we keep making money on it. We still got 7 minutes before we have, in 7 minutes, we have State Street. State Street, which is another bank stock. Plies, man. Plies was good, dude. I liked Plies. Plies was good. You know, I remember I had the Plies CD, man. This was so long ago. This was like 20 years ago. But these are the CDs I would like trade people. I had a bunch of CDs. I would trade them with the other kids on the bus, and like we would all just kind of listen to each other's CDs because the bus ride was like a day and a half trip on a Greyhound bus, and so I'd have to like sleep on the bus, and it was like $50. So it'd take you all across the country for $50. But yeah. Yeah, I've never really been to South Carolina, so I can't say if South Carolina is good or bad. I just can't. Man, look at JPMorgan, bro. That dip buy worked great. I should have held the whole position, to be honest. I'm kind of bummed. I'm up on the trade nicely, so don't get me wrong, but I could have made a lot more if I would have just stayed in the full position. But I did take a little bit too size relative to what I wanted, and so I don't mind getting rid of some of that risk and just kind of sitting on smaller size here. But we're nicely green. We are green on the trade, and so I'll take it, but... Hey, what's up, Beach Mom? Good morning, man. Yeah, I don't know about South Carolina. As a Louisiana native, I'm going to go against Bama, although Birmingham's actually really nice. Like, Birmingham's pretty nice. Again, like, Texas is nice. I like Texas. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, though, but I like Texas. Texas is nice. Texas gets a bad rap. Everybody acts like Tesla is just horrible, or Texas is just horrible. Texas is nice, man. And most people are nice here. Good economy, like it's not really as bad as everybody makes it out to be. All right, so we're finally getting a pullback for JPMorgan. We're at 153.40s. What stations do you remember? I remember the Houston station. I remember the Baton Rouge station, which were both pretty rough. I remember the Chicago station because sometimes I would take a train. I didn't always get to take the train, though, because if I took the train, my mom, I would either have to get picked up. I could only take the train to Chicago, and then in Chicago, I'd have to get off the train, and then I'd have to walk to the Greyhound station. And a lot of the time, it was in the winter, and so it was like snowing and cold, and I'd have to walk. I'd have to walk from the Greyhound station, or no, I'd have to walk from the train station in Chicago, which wasn't that bad, to the Greyhound station, which was rough. You know, like people got robbed out there. I had one guy who ripped a piece of paper. It was like a homeless man. He ripped a piece of paper, a piece of newspaper. He had a Visine bottle, and he poured so much of it on this piece of paper, and he was like, "Here, bro, I got some LSD. I'm giving it to you." And it was like a homeless man. And my guess is his little play was that he did that and then asked for money. He did that and say, "Here, you can have it for free, but you got $3." And it's like, no, dude, you're trying to poison me, bro. Get out of here. But they would do stuff like that. Or they'd tell you they'd sell you stuff, and like they'd bring you to the side and like rob you. This never happened to me, but I saw a bunch of kids that it happened to. So if you ever go, you never leave the station. If you ever go to the Greyhound station in Chicago, do not leave that station. People might get you to wander off somewhere. Do not leave that station. You know, this is what I had to always remember. But it was fun, man. I got to see the world, you know. JP Morgan pulled it back a little bit. I'm tempted to buy some more here. And again, we do have State Street dropping in about 2 minutes. State Street is expecting $2.08 EPS on $3.14 billion in sales. But State Street, the symbol is STT. We'll put this up here, STT. Yeah, I mean, Pete, dude was trying to rip me off. Again, I never had, like, this was just a homeless man. My guess is he saw I was young and thought that he might be able to, like, again, I just was just kind of like, all right, bro, I'm out of here, man. No, I don't have any change, sir. You know, and just left. Yeah, I've never been to Portland, but maybe it is. I don't know. I remember there's a lot of them. Again, I went to a bunch of different ones. I remember the Memphis station was rough too. Although the Memphis station, they had like video games. They had like Deer Hunter and stuff that you could sit there and play. All right, so JP Morgan pulling back. Again, part of me wants to buy it. State Street should be dropping their numbers right now. We'll see if they do. All right, State Street just dropped theirs. They dropped 217 EPS versus 210 estimates. So State Street's already out with theirs, and they're gapping up to about $78 right now. Not the biggest move here for State Street, but if you look at the intraday chart, here's State Street. They're up to about 77 something. 78, 77 somethings. So State Street out with their operating basis return on equity was 13%. Yeah, I mean, it's been like 15 years, 20 years since I've seen any of these Greyhound stations, so I don't know what they're like now. All I know is this was back in mid 2000s. All right, so JP Morgan did pull back. It's at 153.50s. We did get that bounce though, so I told you guys. So again, a lot of the time, if you guys see what I did on JP Morgan, this is an example of kind of the earnings plays that I'll do. I'll look for a company to have good earnings and then pull back, and then gap up maybe and then pull back, or I'll look for a company to have good earnings and then just gap down and I'll buy that. And if it's strong like JP Morgan, I can sit in JP Morgan ultimately as long as I want. I could sit in this thing for years and still probably make money. And so if I can time it right in my entries, you know, they could be nice little trades that you can get involved with and have like some good little swings and returns on them from just betting on the probabilities. Wells Fargo, another bank, did pretty well. They're gapping up too, but JP Morgan at 153.60s. UnitedHealth dropped their numbers. I think they came in. UNH came in there, so you can see UNH right here. There's UNH's numbers right there. And again, we'll see what happens. bank earnings tend to be like pretty positive so far this earnings season. So it looks like most of them are fine. Like most of the banks dropped pretty good earnings. Jackson, Mississippi is rough. I don't know if I ever caught that one. Again, I've been to a couple different ones. I remember them vaguely. I remember Memphis. I remember the big ones. I remember Memphis. I remember Chicago. I remember Baton Rouge. I remember Houston. Those are ones that I went to multiple times, multiple different trips. And so I remember those. But I don't remember any of the other ones really. Dollar index is up. Is it really? Again, jpmorgan's nice today. That's one of the ones that turned out well, but a good time. And then the next earnings to drop is Citigroup at 8 a.m., which is in about 18 minutes. We have Citigroup drop. That's the last big bank results. And then after that, JP Morgan earnings stream at 8:30. So in about 45 minutes, we got JP Morgan earnings. What earnings call is JP Morgan? So again, I'm going to stream the JP Morgan earnings call, I think. It is second quarter results here. All right, so yeah, we do have Citigroup coming out with theirs. Yeah, we got Citi, WFC. All right. So we got that ready. Again, JP Morgan drops theirs. Well, JP Morgan starting to pull back a little bit. We could add some more to this too. I don't know. In KLA, I heard it was gapping up. Yeah, we'll see what Goldman does. JP's pulling back. I'm tempted to buy a little bit more, but I think I'm just going to sit back. And again, if you haven't already, check out Moomoo. A lot of these I'm finding on Moomoo. Like here's Moomoo, which is a zero commission option or zero commission stock platform that's open the entire time in pre-market. And the reason I switched to Moomoo from TOS is because they're open all of pre-market. They're open the entire pre-market session. I can trade at 4 a.m. I can wait. Zero commission stock trades. And again, their resources on their platform are incredibly good. Again, I can go to news on any stock in my watch list. Here's JP Morgan. I can see the PE ratio is only 11 right now, influencing whether I maybe buy the dip. You can see all the recent news, all the recent earnings come out for this. And you can kind of see all that down here below me if you can't. There's also so much more resources here. So like I can pull this up right here and go to Explore. If I go to Explore, it gives me a free heat map. that shows me, internet content is green, software is green, consumer electric is green, semiconductors are very green, drug manufacturers are mixed, banks are mostly green, and the rest of the heat map. I can go to hot strategies and see what strategies are working well here. If I make this larger, I can go to broker rankings and see what everybody's doing there. I can see the recent IPOs. I can look at announcements on my watch list for jpmorgan. You can see the current report for jpmorgan and see their earnings report. You can see what divvies they're paying out, futures analysis. I can see what's going on in crude, natty gas, all that good stuff. Their paperfolio section allows you to track traders, so you can follow different traders on their paperfolio. You can see what traders are up the biggest percentages and see what stocks, what strategies they're using to make those gains. And so I can go to monthly here and see this guy's up 104% on the month. Total, this guy's up almost 500%. And you can see what they're doing, what they're buying, when they're buying it. And you can click follow right here on the right and get a good understanding of what they're doing. Very useful there as well. I can go to the news section here and see all the recent news on my watch list. I can see all the headline news today going out. They have a before the bell thing that they show. I can also look at a calendar here to see what's going on in economic data and releases. Just very, very useful. You can also add like indicators. They give you free unusual option activity here. So you get free unusual option activity. You can see where large block orders are coming through. And so just very useful. And again, if you haven't already checked out Moomoo, if you open up an account and deposit at least $100, you get 5 free stocks. If you open up an account and deposit at least $1,000, you get 15 free stocks. And I got like Palantir and a bunch of other ones. If you open up an account and deposit over 5K, you get the previous 15 plus a free share of Google or Tesla. And I got Tesla. Which I'm pretty hyped about. Again, if you want to check them out, they are a sponsor, just genuinely useful. Pays for itself with the data, with the stuff that they give you, and it's kind of what I use to find a lot of this stuff too. If you want to check it out, there is the link. Again, they are a sponsor of mine. You can also see the link pinned at the top of the chat. Somebody's asking me about NKLA. Wasn't NKLA the company that rolled the semi down the hill to make it look like it was working when it wasn't? Isn't that Nicola? Or Nicola, I think is how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. Ripple won the SEC lawsuit. Nice, man. Yeah, Coinbase is flying. But look at a pullback for JP Morgan. Part of me wants to buy the dip a little bit more. I might add another 10 shares to JP. Like, we'll get in here. We'll leave this order up and just see if they fill us. Yeah. So again, I'm skeptical of them. If they're the ones that rolled the truck down the hill, then I don't know if I trust them at all. We'll see. We had a pretty good day. All right, there's our fill. So we just recently got filled right there. We had a pretty good day yesterday on Top Step too. We're chugging away, man, on Top Step. So again, my goal is to be funded by the end of next week. We got a little ways to go, but we're close. It is Friday though, so I don't want to take too much crazy risks. All right, we're up like 1,000 in a couple of these accounts. All right, so we got 7.2. Nice. All right, so yeah, we're still pretty good on Top Step. We're green in almost every account except for one. And so we're just chugging away at it. Does Moomoo show how many current shares you're holding? Yeah, you can see how many shares I'm holding of JP Morgan right here. It says 20. So I'm currently in 20 shares of JP Morgan. But again, what happened is on this big bounce, I took most of that off. So now we are sitting on 20. But we just added 10 more, if that makes sense. AI is ripping up. C3 AI is pumping right now. And again, the real interesting one is Nvidia today, man. That thing is up so much. STT missed on revenue. So I'm showing STT came in. Yeah, STT missed on sales, beat on EPS. So they came in at 217, beat the 210 estimate. So there's State Street right here. Missed on sales, beat EPS. And again, if you don't know so EPS is profitability. So EPS is gauging profitability. So like better than expected EPS means the company was more profitable than they expected. Revenue is kind of like the ceiling, where it's like, what's their potential? If they're bringing in a lot of money, they have good potential, even if they're not even if their margins aren't great. The more they're bringing in, the more potential they ultimately have. And so missing on revenue, a lot of the time there's more weight on revenue because it means like more potential ultimately is there. Yeah, Nvidia is bouncing back up, man. Nvidia up to 467s right now. Look at Nvidia here. This is a crazy run too. Look at this. 467s for Nvidia, testing the highs in pre-market. What a crazy run for this, man. All right, guys, we got 9 minutes until Citigroup earnings as well, and then we got jpmorgan coming out soon in about 40 minutes. All right, we're gonna have to log in here. We just took a trade on this shorting the regular E-mini as well. We just took a trade shorting the regular E-mini on Trade of 8. Longer term short position. We're going to try to hold this for a minimum of 5 minutes. But we are slightly green on it, shorting the S&P 500 here in futures. I'll update you guys on how this trade goes as it happens. All right, so you see we're up about $40. Gonna maybe take some profit pretty soon, but it's supposed to be a longer term trade in all honesty. So like, but again, I'm gonna try to let this work a little bit longer and give it some time. Watching Apple, watching the NASDAQ here. All right, I took a risk. We are in 2 contracts of the regular E-mini here, 2 contracts of the regular E-mini. Nvidia pumping up though. If we do get dragged up here in stocks, it might be because of Nvidia breaking highs. All right, we're slightly red. Maybe should have built up a cushion first. I don't mind taking a little bit more risk in pre-market. I've been doing really well in pre-market, and I've got a large cushion on these accounts anyway, on all of them for the most part, except for one. I'm only red on one of these Top Step accounts. So we got a bunch of them. And remember, the Top Step sale ends in Sunday. So Sunday is the last day where you'll be able to get the combine for $49. The combine on Top Step's $49 right now. And so again, I bought like 6 or 7, and the goal is just to get funded in a couple of them. Because it's $49, so it's just so cheap. Again, what Top Step does, they give you a demo, they test your skill. In the futures market, there's no PDT rule, so I can day trade short in futures with a margin account, buy market, buy bid, sell the ask, just like stocks. And the patterns are very similar to day trading stocks, but you're day trading the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, currencies, gold, silver, commodities, and futures. And there's no red tape. There's no PDT restrictions. You can day trade short as much as you want. And Top Step's most legit funded program in the world. They pay out millions, fund thousands of traders a year. Again, they give you a demo and they test your skill. The base one's $50K. If you can hit 3K in profit on that 50K demo without losing over 2K as your max loss, then they fund you 50K with a 90% split, and they pay out millions and fund thousands of traders every year. You also get to keep $10,000 of your first profit. And Top Step's the gold standard. They're the ones that you're going to have the most reliability from withdrawing, and they've been around for over 10 years. And so $49 for their base combine's the cheapest I've ever seen it. And again, if you want to check it out, here's the link. JP Morgan's already out with their numbers here. I'll put the numbers up right here. So JP Morgan and Wells Fargo are right there, right here below me. Again, we're still pretty flat on this 2-contract position here. We did add a little bit to JP Morgan. It looks like that's bouncing back some. Okay, we're pretty much flat on that. And you can kind of see we're still flat here on this trade. I will say, though, I do like Quant Tower much more than Trade of 8. I've learned to love Quant Tower much more than Trade of 8. But JP Morgan's starting to bounce up a little bit too. Will import-export prices affect things? Probably not that much. JP Morgan beat earnings. Yeah, they already came out with earnings. They did pretty well. Again, we're now green on the JP Morgan trade, and it's riding up to 152.90s here. Nvidia, man, what a surge. Look at Nvidia's chart right now. It's a crazy chart. Again, we're still pretty much flat here. We're break even on 2 contracts, just waiting for something to show. Citi numbers drop in 3 minutes. They might be dropping soon, though. So let's see what Citi comes in as. They might be dropping soon. They're not out with theirs yet, but they might be coming out anytime now. All right, so we'll put Citigroup up as well. There's Citi. There's Citigroup. You can see the symbol right here. Right, so there's Citi. They're gapping up nicely from other stuff too. It might affect my JP Morgan position as well, but you can see they pulled back a little bit short term for Citigroup, but they should be dropping theirs in less than 2 minutes. Yeah, still waiting on their numbers to come out. JP Morgan is surging up though. That's nice. No, we're waiting on Citi numbers. They're not out yet. All right, so we're now green on our short. The question is, do I take half off here, lock in profit? I think so. All right, so we just locked in $40, and now we're flat on the rest. So we just locked in that profit, and we can let the rest ride. So $40 up on the day, roughly, right around $40. JP Morgan is bouncing up nicely. Waiting on Citi. Citi drops theirs within like 45 seconds, or at least they should. It's never exact. We don't really know exactly when like Citi's going to drop their numbers, but yeah. All right, so there's Citigroup surging up here. So Citigroup did just drop their numbers. They are out with their numbers for Citigroup. They are gapping up to 48.70s here for Citi. And man, Chase is volatile from it as well. They did drop their numbers here. It looks like they showed up at yeah, waiting for them to actually reflect here. I see that they're out. Look at Citi pop, guys. 48.90s, $49 for Citigroup. Wow. Here's the release. I'm looking for the actual report. Man, Citi's flying up though right now, guys. Wow, look at Citigroup pop. All right, so Citigroup showed second quarter revenue of 19.4 billion. 19.4 billion, which was better for Citi. Better than the 19.73 billion estimates. Actually, so Citi missed on the EPS or on revenue. Net income was 2.9 billion, but they came in at 19.4 versus 19.73 expected for Citi. First quarter or second quarter EPS was 133. 133, which beat the 131 estimate. So they showed 131 estimates. And they came in at 133, so slightly better EPS versus expectations. They did show 19.4 billion in sales versus 19.73 billion expected, so lower than expected sales. Or I don't know, some platforms are saying better than expected, but it varies. Here's those numbers right here. So here's Citigroup right here. They're volatile right now. Starting to surge down. Net revenue came in at 2.9 billion. Adjusted EPS came in at 137 versus 130 estimates. We'll see what jpmorgan does. But yeah, Citigroup came out positive. You can see the numbers below me. And we got jpmorgan dropping in a couple minutes. $8 a.m. scrum in 1 minute. Yeah. So the 8 a.m. scrum is probably out. What's up, Daniel? Which one are you talking about, Xavier? That's why you always buy it, support in a bull trend. Yeah, I mean, I've already taken profit on jpmorgan. So to put it into perspective, if you guys didn't catch the trades, I bought jpmorgan after this little dip right here. Sold on this bounce. Added back on this dip, and then we're probably getting ready to sell it a little bit more. We're green on the trade currently again. So I'm just kind of scalping this back and forth. I'll go ahead and take another half off since we're green and just lock that in and just sit tight and wait now on the rest. Citigroup's popping back up though. Look at Citi. So Citi's back up. It is at 48.7 or 50 or so. Yeah. So again, Raz, you might be behind, bro. Hit the live button next to the play button. So Citigroup returned $2 billion to holders in the second quarter through dividends and buybacks. So Citigroup, volatile but sideways. Volatile but still sideways. How's Disney doing this morning? I'm not sure. I took some off on Disney yesterday, and then we added back on a pullback. Disney's gapping up, though. We're green on it today. But yeah, Disney ripped up to the 91 plus level. We took some profit over the last few days, and then when it dipped down yesterday, we bought the dip again. Okay, no, you're live then. Got you. Yeah, so we already reported JP, I guess. Yeah, JP Morgan's out already. Got you. Yeah, oh, you must have been responding to somebody else. All good. But yeah, Disney's doing great there. All right, so we're still in that futures trade. We're pretty much break even. All right, so again, we were watching Disney here. We got Coinbase at 105.50s here. We're still at JP Morgan. So we're sitting in anything. Again, we are in this trade flat on our futures trade. I want to give that a little bit more time to work here. Disney at 90.5s. We're in that one too. That's nice. Coinbase, man, what a crazy run at 105s here. We do have JP Morgan earnings in about 25 minutes. So be ready, guys. Be ready for JP Morgan's in about 25 minutes. We are going to stream the whole thing live. So be ready. JP Morgan earnings coming out. No, and somebody was asking me. I'm talking about the JP Morgan earnings call is what I'm talking about. We're going to be streaming the JP Morgan earnings call in a couple minutes. Yeah, we might have to get out of our futures trade. JP Morgan honestly looks good. Yeah, we'll probably cut this. We're down a little bit now on our futures trade. I'm going to let it have one more minute because I'm letting the S&P test the highs, but definitely not super confident in the futures trade now. We might have to cut it, but again, Citigroup mostly kind of consolidating down here. So down a little bit. JP Morgan is reacting fairly well to another good earnings report for a bank. Banks dropped earnings today, and they're doing pretty nice. Like they're doing pretty okay. All right, look at JP pop here, guys. JP back over 153s. Yeah, we're probably going to cut our futures trade, but our JP Morgan trade's nice. We do have 10 minutes before bank earnings come out. Yeah, market looks good. Yeah, it's good news for banks for the most part. Yeah, I mean, no offense, man. We're going to keep religion out of this, bro. Sorry, brother. Yeah, I use Moomoo. The platform I'm using, Moomoo, really nice platform, to be honest. You can see JP Morgan start to pop. You love to see it. Green on JP Morgan today, of course, and I'm gonna let the rest ride, see if we can push up even more. Are you listening to the earnings call? The earnings call starts in 20 minutes for JP Morgan. So we're gonna stream the full earnings call live. You'll be able to watch it. And then after that, we got like the Michigan consumer sentiment and expectation data coming out. Oh man, I forgot about the futures trade I was in. I guess I'll just cut it and get out pretty small. I mean, we're down like $100, but we're up like 1,000 already in that account. So we are going to see if we can keep pushing and make some good trades. We got to cut it when we need to, though. And that's one of those instances, I think. And JPMorgan's still popping. All right, Citigroup popping up a little bit here. The goal of today, of course, in futures trading is to build up a cushion. And if we can't do that, then we're not going to swing big. So the whole purpose is to build up a cushion first. JPMorgan looks great. Citigroup still trying. $8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Subscribe to chat. We appreciate it. JPMorgan still pumping. Hey, look at JPMorgan making another pop. Up to 153.30s here. The Dixie has bottomed? Maybe. The dollar index is usually going to have an inverse correlation with the market, though, All right, so we got the call on hold, waiting for it to start. JPMorgan pulling back a little bit. It starts in 15 minutes or so, 15 minutes. The Dixie is bottom, maybe WKHS. Man, it's been so long since I've heard about Workhorse, though. Like, Workhorse is an up-and-coming EV brand that just failed. And you're going to see a lot of these EV brands fail. And so just don't get behind failing companies, thinking they're the next Amazon. I mean, you might. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Just be careful with stuff like WKHS. I've seen this one for years. I've seen it get overhyped. I've seen it fail. And now it's $1 a share and it's barcoding price action. So just be very, very careful trying to invest in companies like this. Citigroup still testing these lows, starting to dip down a little bit. All right, guys, JPMorgan numbers in 15 minutes. We look at everything, Erica. I look at everything. I look at accuracy. I look at risk reward. I look at wins versus losses. I look at how much equity I'm using. I look at all that stuff. Yeah, for sure. He said, got an alert from Mumu that said JP profit jumped 67%. Yeah, it's a pretty cool feature for sure. There's a lot of really good stuff on Mumu that people like just don't know about. They get JP Morgan numbers in about 14 minutes. What's up, Kenny? Traditional bear market final leg down begins. Yeah, man, I've been hearing people say we're in a crash for years. Most of the time, they're just trying to confirm their own bias and their own positions. So, again, the market has flown up. Again, the earnings season this quarter is going to be the big tell, though. It's going to be the big influence. That's where we'll really see what happens with AI, with microchips, with Nvidia, with AMD. Those are going to be the big stories of the earnings season, and we're going to see if we actually hold, after everything. Big question mark. And again, let me know. That's a big question. Do AI stocks hold this earnings season? Let me know. I don't know. I'm not sure. All right, guys. JP Morgan coming out pretty soon with their earnings call. We'll see if they say anything good, bad. What do you guys think? Does JP Morgan react well or poorly to their earnings call today? Is Nvidia starting to dip a little bit here? Nvidia's pulling back a little bit for sure. VWAP's right around 465 though. Yeah, I've just seen so many. All right, what's up, Guts? C3, Fed interest rate hikes are starting to catch up to the markets. I mean, I'm bullish long term on crypto, J, but I have no idea what it's going to do short term. Of course, nobody does. John, on Moomoo, can you transfer money same day and use it to trade? You can transfer money same day. You might not be able to trade with it until the next day, though. And that's mostly true on everything. So, like, if you wire money, it has to be wired. If you wire money, I got mine same day, but it depends on your bank. NKLA flying. Yeah, NKLA is up a lot. Here's NKLA right here. So they are kind of making moves right now. I'll be honest. Look at NKLA, but again, I don't trust NKLA at all. I think they're sketch. Yeah, I'm holding a couple different ones. Yeah, Workhorse is just kind of iffy. Is the best way to describe it. They're just iffy. One tower up. I think I forgot to put. There we go. I use Quant Tower, Trade Evade. I use a couple different ones, in all honesty. Diamond hands. I wish I was diamond. JP Morgan earnings start at 8:30. It might say it right here, Charles. It could say it like right there. like just a weather banner really quick, like right in this area right here. It might say what time it starts. Sorry, bro, I gotta troll you a little bit, but that's okay. Is there an Nvidia bear ETF? SOXS is a microchip ETF bear, I think, right? Yeah, it's semiconductors. It's a bearish semiconductor one. So, like, if Nvidia drops, SOXS will probably go up, and vice versa. Again, I'm a little bit nervous because I think Nvidia could keep running. It's possible they do. So just be careful. Just be careful. We got the earnings call starting in 9 minutes, guys. 9 minutes for the actual full JPMorgan earnings call. Again, do me a favor, bump those like numbers up, hit the subscribe button. I certainly appreciate it. But yeah, JPMorgan earnings call starts soon. All right, look at NKLA pulling back a little bit. I'm going to put up some more banks, though. NKLA is cool. I'm going to put up Citigroup because Citigroup's starting to bounce back. Wells Fargo also dropped theirs. UnitedHealth, all that good stuff dropped their earnings today. Also on Coinbase, I think Coinbase is crazy big right now. It's popped all the way over 100. It might be a little extended on the upside, though, but it depends on whether the bull run starts. I think there's more nuance to it than just up or down too much. I think it depends on what happens with the spot ETF that they think is going to go through with BLK and a couple other big banks like Vanguard pushing for it with high accuracy histories of approval. And so in that regard, it depends on what Bitcoin does. It depends on what happens in that. And for me right now, though, Coinbase is a little bit too high. But if we get some news that like the ETF has a great, if we get some more plays there, it might be interesting. All right, guys, JPMorgan numbers dropping in 8 minutes, 8 minutes. Their JPMorgan numbers are already out. I'm sorry. You can see actually JPMorgan numbers. Here, let me so again, here is JPMorgan. I will put this up under what we currently got going on. There you go. So here's the full JPMorgan earnings call information and actual EPS values. JPMorgan ended up showing $4.37 a share on adjusted EPS versus $3.62. Estimates revenue came in at 41.3 versus 38.96. Yeah, I think I could phrase this a little bit better. So here, this is a little bit smaller and better. There we go. So yeah, JPMorgan showed better than expected EPS, $4.37 a share versus $3.62 estimates. Revenue came in at 41.3 versus 38.96 expected here. Again, we made some money on little day trade, swing trades. Anything's stoppable. Nothing's going to go up forever, including Nvidia. But Nvidia doesn't look weak. I'll tell you that. I don't know if I'm ready to short it quite yet. When do you know how to pull out at the right time for day trading, looking into switching into a cash account? Why would you ever switch to a cash account? Cash account's not worth it unless you're like swing trading. Even swing trading is not worth it. You want a margin account if you're swing trading. But yeah, cash account, like people think they can get around the PDT rule with the cash account. The problem with them is that like you can only go long. And so if you're day trading with a cash account, it's just a bad move. Like it's just not going to work well. You're only going to be able to go long. You can only day trade a certain amount of equity. It's not going to be freely day trading. And it's one of the reasons, like if you're really trying to day trade futures. Futures are cheaper. Their futures are less restrictive. You can actually day trade. It's the first. So if you've never day traded before, the futures market is probably where you want to go. Most pro day traders trade futures because the liquidity is better. There's less red tape, and the patterns and like the S. You could day trade the SPY, you can day trade the NASDAQ currencies, gold, silver, commodities, and the patterns on the SPY are very similar to like Apple or Tesla or Amazon. But there's no PDT rule. You can buy market, buy bid, sell the ask, just like stocks. And they also have funded account programs. And I'm sponsored by Top Step, so I'm biased because they pay me money. But much easier to test yourself. It's a beautiful middle ground where You don't have that much risk, but you have most of the reward, the same reward you would for the most part if you put the money up yourself. So they give you they give you a 50K demo, and it's $49 right now, and that sale ends in a couple days. And if you can hit 3K in profit on that 50K demo without losing over 2K, they fund you 50K, and you get to keep your first $10,000 in profit and 90% after that. And so it's the best of both worlds. If you lose, which most people are going to lose, you're going to lose much less than you would if you put the money up yourself. If you pass it, you still keep 90% of your profit and your first 10K with no split. And so it's the best of both worlds. Limited risk, you're still learning how to trade under pressure. And if you lose, it's not the end of the world. But if you pass it, you still get a lot of the benefits. So in that regard, I wish I had something like this when I first got started day trading, because I would have just lost much less money. I still probably would have failed the challenge, but I would have lost much less doing so. And that's the whole purpose of this. Depends on how much cash you got. You can maybe do options with like a 20K account. That might work. Can you explain why you'd like a margin account over a normal account in general? A margin account is going to give you instant settlement. And so there's something called the T1. It's called the T1 or the T2 rule. What it says is that you have to wait 2 days for your funds to settle after every trade with a cash account. So I buy $1,000. I buy 1,000 shares of a $1 stock and spend $1,000 in equity. I got to wait 2 days to get those funds put back into my account once I sell. Right? That's a cash account. You got to wait days to get the money put back into your account after every sell. It's called it stands for transaction plus 2 days. I think they're changing it, or they might have changed it to the transaction plus 1 day. Still, you got to wait a day or two to get your money back into your account after every trade. The benefit of a margin account is that as soon as I click sell, if I spend $1,000 in equity on a trade on a margin account, as soon as I click sell, that $1,000 put immediately back into my account. And you can short in a margin account where you can't short in a cash account. For that reason, if you're day trading, you want to day trade a margin account, but you're going to need over 25K if you want to do it actively. A lot of people try to resort to like day trading penny stocks, but the whole thing is just kind of a sleazy market that I'd just be very careful with. All right, jpmorgan still pumping up here, guys. The question is, do I finally lock in some profit here on this? I think so. I mean, I've rode jpmorgan up a lot. See if we can get filled. All right, we got partial fill. We'll sit on the rest, see if it moves back up. There we go, filled on the rest. All right, we are out of jpmorgan. Nice little trade. Again, we bought it way down there, and we rode the bounce up. It worked out really well. We got less than 2 minutes before the jpmorgan earnings call. We're also going to throw it in sub-only mode, team. So if you have not already, hit the sub button, hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. We are waiting for the earnings call. Also, be sure to hit the live button next to the play button to make sure you're fully caught up on stream. And again, if you want to check out Top Step, links in the description. If you want to check out Moomoo and get up to 16 free stocks, just a really cool platform, to be honest. All right, everybody announce yourself. Show us that you're subscribed. We appreciate it. We got about 40 seconds before the actual earnings call starts. And usually it's a little bit late. Y'all can hear the music, though. I'm just going to do a sound check before the actual earnings call starts. Y'all can hear the music, right? Yeah, all good, Stefan. No worries, man. But yeah, y'all can hear the music, right? I just want to make sure before we start playing stuff. All right, good. All right, so we are going to mute the music now and get ready for the actual earnings call to start, which we are waiting for right now. I'm going to mute the music and wait for the full earnings call to start here. Give me a second. They're still on hold mode. So I'll let you know when they start, but I got to mute it right now. Yeah, thank you guys. Everybody hit the subscribe button. Announce yourself. Show us that you're subbed. I appreciate the love. I would really love to hit, what are we at right now? We're pretty close to 111K. I'd really love to hit that today. We need about 100 subs left to hit that, which is not bad. We could probably hit that today if we get enough viewers here. So again, if you haven't yet, subscribe. Help us hit that today. Yeah, you might want to try futures though, sir. So futures market is mostly like day trading stocks, except there's no red tape. Like I can, look, if I trade futures here, right? Like in this account, I am up. Let me show you guys this real quick. And again, we're waiting for it to start. Oh man, JPMorgan is legit with theirs. They got a little notification saying the JPMorgan earnings call will begin shortly. All right, we're waiting. But no, so like look, this is one of my top step accounts, right? I am up about $125. I buy market, sell market, buy bid, sell the ask, just like stocks. But I could trade the S&P, I could trade the Nasdaq, I could day trade some currencies if you like forex and futures. And so again, try out Top Step if you want to get your feet wet in futures. It's $49 right now. If you're good enough to pass it, they'll fund you. If you're not, you're going to lose less than you would putting up the money yourself. All right, here's about to start. Sound check.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to JPMorgan Chase's second quarter 2023 earnings call.
Sound
This
check.
call is being recorded. Your line will be muted for the duration of the call. We will now go to the live presentation. Please stand by. At this time, I would like to turn the call over to JPMorgan Chase's Chairman and CEO, Jamie Dimon, and Chief Financial Officer, Jeremy Barnum. Mr. Barnum, please go ahead.
Thanks, operator. Good morning, everyone. The presentation is available on our website, and please refer to the disclaimer in the back. Starting on page 1, the firm reported net income of $14.5 billion, EPS of $4.75 on revenue of $42.4 billion, and delivered an ROTCE of 25%. These results included the First Republic bargain purchase gain of $2.7 billion, a credit reserve build for the First Republic lending portfolio of $1.2 billion, as well as $900 million of net investment securities losses in corporate. Touching on a few highlights. CCB client investment assets were up 18% year on year. We had record long-term inflows in AWM, and we ranked number 1 in IBP wallet share. Before giving you more detail on the financials, let me give you a brief update on the status of the First Republic integration on page 2. The settlement process with the FDIC is on schedule, the number of key milestones being recently completed. Systems integration is also proceeding at pace, and we are targeting being substantially complete by mid-2024. First Republic employees have formally joined us as of July 2nd, and we're pleased to have had very high acceptance rates on our offers. And although it's still early days, as we get the sales force back in the market, we are happy to see that client retention is strong, with about $6 billion of net deposit inflows since the acquisition. Now, turning back to this quarter's results on page 3. You'll see that in various parts of the presentation, we have specifically called out the impact of First Republic where relevant. To make things easier, I'm going to start by discussing the overall impact of First Republic on this quarter's results at the firm-wide level. Then, for the rest of the presentation, I will generally exclude the impact of First Republic in order to improve comparability with prior periods. With that in mind, in this quarter, First Republic contributed $4 billion of revenue, $599 million of expense, and $2.4 billion of net income. As noted on the first page, this includes $2.7 billion of bargain purchase gain, which is reflected in NIR in the corporate segment, as well as $1.2 billion of allowance build. And remember that the deal happened on May 1st, so the First Republic numbers only represent 2 months of results. You'll see in the line of business results that we are showing First Republic revenue and allowance in CCB, CB, and AWM. And for the purposes of this quarter's results, all of the deposits are in CCB and substantially all of the expenses are in corporate. As the integration continues, some of those items will get allocated across the segments. Now, turning back to firm-wide results excluding First Republic. Revenue of $38.4 billion was up $6.7 billion or 21% year on year. NII ex markets was up $7.8 billion or 57%, driven by higher rates. NIR ex markets was down $293 million, largely driven by the net investment securities losses I mentioned earlier, partially offset by a number of less notable items, primarily in the prior year. And markets revenue was down $772 million or 10% year on year. Expenses of $20.2 billion were up $1.5 billion or 8% year on year, primarily driven by higher compensation expense, including wage inflation and higher legal expense. And credit costs of $1.7 billion included net charge-offs of $1.4 billion, predominantly in card. The net reserve build included a $389 million build in the commercial bank, a $200 million build in card, and a $243 million release in corporate, all of which I will cover in more detail later.
Yeah, he's light.
On to balance sheet and capital on page 4.
It's not me, it's
We
him.
ended the quarter with a CET1 ratio of 13.8%, flat versus the prior quarter, as the benefit of net income less distributions was offset by the impact of First Republic. And as you can see in the two charts on the page, we've given you some information about the impact of the transaction on both RWA and CET1 ratio. And as you know, we completed CCAR a couple of weeks ago. Our new indicative SCB is 2.9% versus our current requirement of 4%, and it goes into effect in 4Q23. The new SCB also reflects the board's intention to increase the dividend to $1.05 per share in the third quarter. On liquidity, our bank LCR for the second quarter ended at 129%, in line with what we anticipated at Investor Day. About half of the reduction is associated with the First Republic transaction. And while we're on the balance sheet, as we previewed in the 10K, we will be updating our earnings at risk model to incorporate the impact of deposit repricing lags. So when we release this quarter's 10Q, you will see the up 100 basis point parallel shift scenario will be about positive $2.5 billion, whereas in the absence of the change, it would have been about negative $1.5 billion. Now, let's go to our businesses, starting with CCB on page 5. Both U.S. consumers and small businesses remain resilient, and we haven't observed any meaningful changes to the trends in our data we discussed at Investor Day. Turning now to the financial results, which I will speak to excluding the impact of First Republic for CCB, CB, and AWM. CCB reported net income of $5 billion on revenue of $16.4 billion, goes up 31% year on year. In banking and wealth management, revenue was up 59% year on year, driven by higher NII on higher rates. End of period deposits were down 4% quarter on quarter, as customers continue to spend down their cash buffers, including for seasonal tax payments, and seek higher yielding products. Client investment assets were up 18% year on year, driven by market performance and strong net inflows across our advisor and digital channels. In home lending, revenue was down 23% year on year, driven by lower NII from tighter loan spreads and lower servicing and production revenue. Originations were up quarter on quarter, driven by seasonality, although still down 54% year on year. Moving to card services and auto, revenue was up 5%, largely driven by higher card services NII on higher revolving balances, partially offset by lower auto lease income. Card outstandings were up 18% year on year, which was the result of revolve normalization and strong new account growth. And in auto, originations were up $12 billion, up 71% year on year, as competitors pulled back and inventories continued to slowly recover. Expenses of $8.3 billion were up 8% year on year, driven by compensation, predominantly due to wage inflation and headcount growth, as we continue to invest in our front office and technology staffing, as well as marketing. In terms of credit performance this quarter, credit costs were $1.5 billion, reflecting a reserve build of $203 million, driven by loan growth and card services. Net charge-offs were $1.3 billion, up $640 million year on year, predominantly driven by card, as 30-day plus delinquencies have returned to pre-pandemic levels in line with our expectations. Next, the CIB on page 6. CIB reported net income of $4.1 billion on revenue of $12.5 billion. Investment banking revenue of $1.5 billion was up 11% year on year, or down 7% excluding bridge book markdowns in the prior year. IB fees were down 6% year on year, and we ranked number 1 with a year-to-date wallet share of 8.4%. In advisory, fees were down 19%. Underwriting fees were down 6% for debt and up 30% for equity, with more positive momentum in the last month of the quarter. In terms of the second half outlook, we have seen encouraging signs of activity in capital markets, and July should be a good indicator for the remainder of the year. However, year-to-date announced M&A is down significantly, which will be a headwind. Moving to markets, total revenue was $7 billion, down 10% year on year. Fixed income was down 3%. As expected, the macro franchise substantially normalized from last year's elevated levels of volatility and client flows. This was largely offset by improved performance in the securitized products group and credit. Equity markets was down 20% against a very strong prior year quarter, particularly in derivatives. Payments revenue was $2.5 billion, up 61% year on year. Excluding equity investments, it was up 32%, predominantly driven by higher rates, partially offset by lower deposit balances. Security services revenue of $1.2 billion was up 6% year on year, driven by higher rates, partially offset by lower fees. Expenses of $6.9 billion were up 1% year on year, driven by higher non-compensation expense as well as wage inflation and headcount growth, largely offset by lower revenue-related compensation. Moving to the commercial bank on page 7. Commercial banking reported net income of $1.5 billion. Revenue of $3.8 billion was up 42% year on year, driven by higher deposit margins. Payments revenue of $2.2 billion was up 79% year on year, driven by higher rates. Gross investment banking and markets revenue of $767 million was down 3% year on year, primarily driven by fewer large M&A deals. Expenses of $1.3 billion were up 12% year on year, predominantly driven by higher compensation expense, including front office hiring and technology investments, as well as higher volume-related expense. Average deposits were up 3% quarter on quarter, driven by inflows related to new client acquisition, partially offset by continued attrition in non-operating deposits. Loans were up 2% quarter on quarter. C&I loans were up 2%, reflecting stabilization in new loan demand and revolver utilization in the current economic environment, as well as pockets of growth in areas where we are investing. CRE loans were also up 1%, reflecting funding on prior year originations for construction loans and real estate banking, as well as increased affordable housing activity. Finally, credit costs were $489 million. Net charge-offs were $100 million, including $82 million in the office real estate portfolio, and the net reserve build of $389 million was driven by updates to certain assumptions related to the office real estate market, as well as net downgrade activity in middle market banking. Then, to complete our lines of business, AWM on page 8. Asset and wealth management reported net income of $1.1 billion, with pre-tax margin of 32%. Revenue of $4.6 billion was up 8% year on year, driven by higher deposit margins on lower balances and higher management fees on strong net inflows. Expenses of $3.2 billion were up 8% year on year, driven by higher compensation, including growth in our private banking advisor teams, higher revenue-related compensation, and the impact of global shares and jpmorgan Asset Management China, both of which closed within the last year. For the quarter, record net long-term inflows were $61 billion, positive across all channels, regions, and asset classes, led by fixed income and equities. And in liquidity, we saw net inflows of $60 billion. AUM of $3.2 trillion was up 16% year on year, and overall client assets of $4.6 trillion were up 20% year on year, driven by continued net inflows, higher market levels, and the impact of the acquisition of global shares. And finally, loans were down 1% quarter on quarter, driven by lower securities-based lending, and deposits were down 6%. Turning to corporate on page 9. As I noted up front, we are reporting the First Republic bargain purchase gain and substantially all of the expenses in corporate. Excluding those items, corporate reported net income of $339 million. Revenue was $985 million, up $905 million compared to last year. NII was $1.8 billion, up $1.4 billion year on year due to the impact of higher rates. NIR was a net loss of $782 million and included the net investment securities losses I mentioned up front. expenses of $590 million were up $384 million year on year, largely driven by higher legal expense. And credit costs were a net benefit of $243 million, reflecting a reserve release as the deposit placed with First Republic in the first quarter was eliminated as part of the transaction. Next, the outlook on page 10. We now
Take it off a
expect
speakerphone, Jamie.
2023 NII and NII ex markets to be approximately $87 billion, the increase driven by higher rates coupled with slower deposit reprice than previously assumed across both consumer and wholesale. And I should take the opportunity to remind you once again that significant sources of uncertainty remain, and we do expect the NII run rate to be substantially below this quarter's run rate at some point in the future as competition for deposits plays out. Our expense outlook for 2023 remains approximately $84.5 billion, and on credit, we continue to expect the 2023 card net charge-off rate to be approximately 2.6%. So to wrap up, we are proud of the exceptionally strong operating results this quarter. As we look forward, we remain focused on the significant uncertainties relating to the economic outlook, competition for deposits, and the impact on capital from the pending finalization of the Basel III rules. Nonetheless, despite the likely headwinds ahead, we remain optimistic about the company's ability to continue delivering excellent performance through a range of scenarios. With that, operator, please open the line for Q&A.
Please stand by.
Yeah, so they're much better. Jamie had it on speakerphone or something, and he's just not like, fix your phone, Jeremy. Not Jamie, sorry, Jeremy. It's Jeremy. Fix your phone, Jeremy. Okay, like everybody can hear you. Like you're on
The first
speakerphone.
question is coming from the line of Jim Mitchell from Seaport Global Securities. You may proceed.
Oh, thanks. Good morning. Hey, Jeremy, you talked about NII guidance up. Clearly, Fed funds futures are up, so it makes some sense. But maybe, I guess, first, could you kind of discuss, comment on deposit behavior broadly around betas and mix and what you're seeing there so far seems to be coming in a little better expected. And then secondly, and probably more importantly, can you help us think about the implications of higher for longer rates on the outlook for NII next year and beyond? You know, I guess the intermediate term outlook that you guys have talked about.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Jim. So, so when we talk about the drivers of the upward revision, as I said, it's higher rates coupled with lower deposit reprice. Hard to untangle the two drivers. And specifically, I think when you look at consumer, the combination of the passage of time, and the positive feedback we're getting from the field and the CD offerings in particular has meant that it's quite a kind of stable environment from that perspective. And similarly, in wholesale, we're just seeing slower internal migrations. You asked about mix. I think that obviously we're seeing the CD mix increase, and we would expect that to continue to take place, probably even past the peak of the rate cycle into next year, as we continue to capture money in motion. But as you say, the most important point is the fact that, as I said earlier, we don't consider this level of NII generation to be sustainable. And we talked previously about a sort of medium-term run rate, in the mid-70s. That was before First Republic, and you could argue that maybe that number should be a little higher. But whatever it is, it's a lot lower than the current number. We don't know when that's going to happen. We're not going to predict the exact moment. That's going to be a function of competitive dynamics in the marketplace. But we want to be clear that we do expect it at some point.
Okay, but I guess just one follow-up on that. Just if we don't get rate cuts, till middle of next year or later, does that sort of give some confidence to the outlook for next year, or are you still worried about significant reprice?
I wouldn't necessarily assume that the evolution from the current run rate into that mid-70s number is that sensitive to the rate outlook in particular. When we put that number out there, we looked at a range of different types of rate environments and the reprice that we think would be associated with that. And it was really meant to capture more of what we consider to be a through the cycle sustainable number. So I wouldn't think of it as being particularly rate dependent.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Next, we'll go to the line of Erica Najarian from UBS. You may proceed.
Hi, good morning, Jeremy. I'm just laughing to myself because I said to you at Investor Day, do you have any more NII rabbits to pull out of the hat? And I guess you do. So I guess I want to ask a broader question really here, and maybe, Jamie, I'd like to get your thoughts. So, you earned 23% ROTCE on 13.8% CET1. And, we hear you loud and clear that your more normalized NII generation is not $87 billion. That being said, and, fully taking into account, the potential, haircut from Basel III Endgame, is it possible that your natural ROTCE is maybe above that 17% through the cycle rate, when rates aren't zero? Because when you first introduced that ROTCE target, we were in a different world from a rate scenario, and everybody's talking about even if the Fed cuts, the natural sort of bottom in Fed funds is not going to be zero. So, any input on that would be great.
Yeah, thanks, Erica. I mean, it's a good question. There's a lot in there, obviously. I guess I would start by saying that, when we've talked about the 17% through the cycle ROTCE, even though we may have introduced that in a moment where we were at the lower zero bound, it was always premised on a sort of normalized rate environment. And at some level, that remains true today. Furthermore, you didn't ask this explicitly, but in the context of the proposed Basel III Endgame, one relevant question might be, if you have a lot more capital in the denominator, what happens to that target? So I think, as I said in my prepared remarks, we feel very confident about the company's ability to produce excellent returns in the cycle. There's a lot of moving parts right now in that. Some of them could be good, some of them could be bad. Narrowly on the capital one, the one thing to point out is that the straight up math of simply diluting down the ROTCE by expanding the denominator misses the possibility of repricing in products and services, which of course goes back to our point that these capital increases do have impacts on the real economy. So we're not suggesting that we can price our way out of it, but we obviously need to get the right returns on products and services, and where we have pricing power, we will adjust to the higher capital. So a lot of moving parts in there, but I think the important point is that through a range of scenarios, we feel good about our ability to deliver good results, and we'll see how the mix of all the various factors plays out, especially after we see the Basel III proposal and it goes through the comment period.
And Eric, I just did one thing. First, we have a mix of businesses that earn from like 0% ROTCE to 100. We have some which are very capital intensive, so we look at kind of all of them. And I think 17 is a good number and a good target. The other thing we're over-earning on is credit. We've been over-earning on credit for a substantial amount of time now. We're quite conscious about it. We know that's going to tick up just as it normalizes, it'll be considerably more than it is now. Like, we would consider credit card normalized to be close to 3.5%.
And so my follow-up question there, maybe, Jeremy, could you remind us what unemployment rate is embedded in your ACL ratio as of the second quarter?
Yeah, it's still 5.8.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to the line of John McDonald from Autonomous Research. You may proceed.
Hi, good morning. Jeremy, wanted to ask about capital in the wake of the Barr speech. We don't have the details yet, but just kind of want to ask about options that you have and strategies for mitigation, both on RWA and potentially on the GSIB front as well, as you contemplate what you heard recently.
Yeah, thanks, John. So obviously we're thinking about that a lot. On the other hand, as much as there have been a lot of very detailed rumors out there that might lead you to start to try to do some planning, it does seem like this time it's real, and we are actually going to get a proposal presumably sometime this month or something. So soon enough, we'll get to see something actually on paper, and we can stop kind of the guesswork. Having said that, indulging in a little bit of guesswork, it does seem like the biggest single driver of the increase that people are talking about, including, Chair Powell's 20% number, or Vice Chair Barr, but Vice Chair Barr's 2% of RWA, which winds up being roughly the same, is just the way operational risk is getting introduced into the standardized pillar. And that is a little bit of a straight up across the board tax on everything. It's kind of hard to optimize your way out of that, with the exception, obviously, of the fact that you can simply increase price, assuming you have pricing power, but that's obviously not what we want, and that's what we sort of mean by impacts on the real economy. So there are details. There's a lot of the FRTB stuff. We can get way into the weeds there within the markets business, and we do have a good track record of adjusting and optimizing. But this time around, it may be a more fundamental set of questions around business mix as opposed to, the ability to sort of optimize in a very technical way.
Okay, that's helpful. And with a number of years for this to phase in and you generating capital at a high level, even if the ROTCE comes down a bit, how should we think about your pace of, building capital for these new changes versus doing your everyday course of investing and buybacks and things like that, over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I guess I'm sort of tempted to give you our standard capital hierarchy here. We're not going to sacrifice investments, right? That won't come as a surprise to you. Generally speaking, we're always going to try to comply with new requirements early. So when we know the requirements and when we have visibility, obviously, given how much organic capital we're generating right now, whatever the answer winds up being, it'll be pretty easy to comply, narrowly speaking. But that's not the same as saying that there won't be consequences to returns or to pricing. And, if for whatever reason things aren't exactly as we're anticipating, I don't see us sacrificing investments that we see as strategically critical in order to, comply with higher capital requirements ahead of the formal timing or whatever.
Okay, and there's some room for buybacks?
Unlikely, obviously. That would be an unlikely outcome.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, John, go ahead. Did you have a follow-up?
Yeah. No, just do buybacks play a role, in the next couple of years, strategically, just episodically, buybacks?
Capital hierarchy again, right? In the end,
Yeah.
When we have nothing else to do with the money, we'll do buybacks. And, we talked about the $12 billion for this year. Obviously, a lot of new moving parts there, although all else equal, given what we've done so far, that's still probably a reasonable number for the full year. But yeah, that's always going to be at the end of the list. But yeah.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
All right, guys. So we're just going to go ahead and end it there. I think the earnings call was winding a little bit. But yeah, we're just going to go ahead and end it there. Let me know what you guys thought about the JPMorgan earnings call. You can see JPMorgan actually bouncing back up and pulled back to the 200 EMA level and then started to bounce. So JPMorgan is doing fairly well from all of this stuff. We do have the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report dropping at 10 a.m. And so that's something to pay attention to as well, for sure. And again, we'll see if we get anything like major dropping today. JP Morgan is starting to surge back up. It's at 153.10s. And so, yeah, we went ahead and skipped it. And the rest, there's probably only a couple more questions. And I don't know how truly relevant any of them are actually going to be. We've been having some fun shorting the NASDAQ currently. You can see we're up about 365 on this trade. About 400 now. All right, so yeah, we're up about 400 on the NASDAQ today, scalping this. Got a nice little cushion on this account ahead of the opening bell, and we are trading here. But look at JP Morgan pop up. It's at 153.20s. But yeah, Disney today, I'm loving life. Like I said, with Disney, we wrote it up, waited for a pullback over the last, or we wrote it up and took profit either yesterday or the day before on Disney. We wrote up the huge gain. And then waited for it to dip yesterday at the opening bell and then bought it back and then rode it back up to 91 plus again and just took a little bit more profit on there. We're sitting on a small piece, but we've already taken like half of the trade off at this point in time, maybe more than that. So yeah, another nice little string of green trades on Disney. And yeah, people make fun of me because I trade it, but I trade it because it makes me money. You know, a lot of times people are hating on Disney too. Like a lot of times people are like, "Oh, Disney's gonna fail." Somebody told me Disney would be at $50 by July of this year, and Disney almost, is sitting at 90s. And so, hey, what's up, Dion? But yeah, let me know what you guys think. What did you guys think of the JP Morgan call? JP Morgan bounced it back up right at that 200 EMA. It did bounce back up. We do have the opening bell coming out.
Not deterioration story when we talk about consumer credit.
Sorry. We do have the opening bell coming out in about 30 minutes or so. It is Friday. We are going to take some swings today, but it is Friday. We are going to pivot to trading futures, though. So I am going to switch to trading futures. And let's find some good futures trades to get involved with today. Let's add one here. What do we got? Our little side chart. There it is. We pop this thing out, throw it up right here. Cut this. Then we'll ride this down. Put this up like that so we can actually see some stocks. So we got Tesla, we got Apple. I could probably put the rest of the banks up, but I'm curious to see how all of these are going to be affected by the bank earnings. Mostly the market looks pretty green today. There's Tesla. We'll put JP Morgan up right here just so we can follow along with it. But it's doing pretty well in pre. Look, you see all my trades on it this morning. Let me get rid of that so you can't see all of them. But yeah, got a nice little day for me. Let me save this so it saves this next time. Side chart. Yeah, we'll save that. All right, and then we're going to get ready to trade some futures today, man. We've had a pretty good day so far. I'm pretty sure we're green on almost everything trading futures. So here is the NASDAQ. Let me make sure we got this account actually set. No, not that one. Account. No, but not that one either. Is it this one? So that is number 4. Okay, that one's good. Okay, that one's good. All right, so we know which one it is. It is, wait. All right, guys, we are ready to trade. Here's the NASDAQ, which we've made most of our money on today. We'll see if we keep this string of good trades in the books. And let me put the music back on so you guys can hear it. Yeah, you can trade commodities on Top Step. I don't know about 150 next year. That's a big. I don't know, bro. Maybe. Do you think AMC will get bought by Amazon? It could. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see if it does. I'm not sure, to be honest. There, genuinely don't know. Top 3 typers in the world right now. Look at that typing speed over here, man. Just coin going to consolidate. Yeah, coin is interesting. I don't know what crypto is going to do is the only thing. Like, I don't know what Bitcoin's going to do. Coinbase is up to over 100. It depends on a lot on what that spot ETF does, like whether the approval happens there. That's going to be the big question mark for it. And again, if you want to day trade if you want to day trade something similar to stocks but doesn't have a PDT rule, try futures. No PDT in futures. You can buy market, buy bid, sell the ask. Just like stocks, I can day trade the Nasdaq, which moves a lot like Apple or Amazon. I can trade the S&P or the SPY, which is what called the E-mini in futures, which again moves like a bunch of blue chips. And you can day trade them with no PDT rule, instant settlement. Less red tape, and these funded account programs are allowed. And Top Step's the most legit one in the world. They pay out millions, fund thousands of traders a year, and again, ultimately, it's the cheapest way to get your feet wet. They give you a demo and they test your skill. Base one's $50K. They give you a $50K demo if you can hit $3K without losing over $2K. They fund you between $50,000 up to $150K with a 90% split. They pay out millions, fund thousands of traders a year, and just taking these challenges builds you into a better trader. If you want to check it out, here is the link. Bro, my typing skills are top 3 for sure. Look, I can prove it right now. Somebody said that was a look like watch. I do a typing test every every little bit. I do a typing test. All right, let's get a 1-minute test going on. Let's see what we hit. All right, let's get started. All right, so that was my results, bro. Show result. Ah, bro. You're gonna hit me with an ad?
What?
They're gonna hit me with an ad just to see the results, bro. How dare you? Typing test. Adobe hit me with the ad. Oh, I got 97 words per minute. 93. So that was actually my best ever. Look, we got 93. So 93 words per minute there with my typing skills, bro. Top 3 greatest typers of all time ever in the world, for sure. Definitely top 3. Whew, I'm a little tired after that, man. That actually took a greater toll on me than I anticipated here. But no. Why did everything drop? Nasdaq's down a little bit, but not anything major here. I don't really see any other big stocks dropping. I can look at Apple at 190s. Apple's still over 190s. Is there a dip buy argument here? The question is, does Apple hit 200 anytime soon? And if it does it hold at 190 prior to that is the real question. And I don't know. Do you think the SPY is overextended? I'm not sure. It might be, but it could also just be a bull run continuing. You know what I mean? So it might be, it might not be. You never know. jpmorgan pulled it back a little bit. We did take profit in that one, so that's nice. ES at support. Yeah, maybe. Nasdaq's kind of chopping back and forth on the sideways chart. Again, and I've tried TradeAvate, I've tried TradingView. I just like it. I like Quant Tower much better than any of those platforms, to be honest. They're just better platforms, dude. Or Quant Tower is just a better platform, in my opinion. So we are also shorting the E-mini right here, just to show you the screen. So we're shorting the E-mini right here. We're already up a good bit on the day, though. So we're already up 400 on the day, you can see. I'd love to be able to build up a cushion of $500 to $600 in this one too. Let's see, we're shorting 2 contracts at the E-mini. This is the S&P 500 right here. I want to see if we continue dropping here. There's a lot of weak signs right now. Maybe it's wrong that I'm not sure, but Apple surging up a little bit. We're slightly green here with 2 contracts. We got a $400 cushion in this account, or a $350 cushion basically. Because I think Quant Tower is better. You said, why do you choose Quant Tower over Trade Evade? I like Quant Tower better. It's just it's subjective. I just like it better. I don't know why, but I think it's just better. All right. And get up a little bit, break even now. I'm going to give it time. If JP continues to fall, if Tesla continues to fall, then maybe it'll drag the rest of the market down with us. Again, we got a nice little cushion here. We start to lose much more than this, and we'll cut it. But I think we got a little bit of time to give it as well. I think I got some room, I guess is the point. I think I actually just might stay in this for a minute. I might give it a little bit more room. Looking at the chart, I think there's an argument for we're right at the bottom of the 5-minute range. And I think if we break down under that, we'll have some room. And I also have a lot of profit on the account already. So there's Trade Evade. I also have Trading View as one of my platforms too. Let's go back and see which each of these has. Nvidia broke under the VWAP, starting to bounce back up. We got like 16 minutes before the market opens, guys. 16 minutes. No, you can't switch platforms once you start it. So you better make sure you like the platform you're using. Again, I like Quant Tower the most. Quant Tower is the most like stocks that I trade. So I do like Quant Tower much more. Again, I want to give it time to work. I could probably sit here and hold. I know I'm down on this, but we're still up like 200 on the day, even with this loss. So like if we start to break down too much, we'll just cut it and, you know, wait until the open and try to get some more trades in. But we got a nice little cushion that I'd like to let work. We're getting closer and closer to cutting this, though. I'm going to go ahead and cut this. I see jpmorgan start to push up. I see Apple start to surge up. And all of that stuff might drag the S&P back up. And I don't really want to get caught in that. So I'm just going to chill here and wait and accept the loss and then wait for some better edge setups to show up, I think, here. John, what do you think is stopping the market today? It's awful flat. I think it's probably just Friday. Michigan inflation data is not out yet. It comes out at 10 a.m. in about 45 minutes. We'll cover it. But we got time. Got a little bit of time to the opening bell, too. All right, so the Nasdaq started to bounce up, but we are pretty flat. Apple bounced it up a little bit. I'm just trying to wait. 15 minutes. Nasdaq looks for some chop. Yeah, I made most of the money on Nasdaq today. Every time I've tried to trade the SPY, it's been a little bit less favorable for me, for lack of a better word. But we're still green mostly on the day. We're green on stocks for sure. Disney's looking lovely for us, and we've already cut Disney a bunch and made money. And we're still in Coca-Cola. We're green on the rest of that one too. AMC's even up today, so that's nice. What's AMC at? Is it still around like $4? Yeah, it's at 460s. No doubt somebody is seeing this little bitty gap up on AMC on Twitter and trying to make some huge conspiracy theory about how this is the start of the next crazy short squeeze for AMC, guys. Get out of here with that nonsense. Bro, my son, dude. I know I keep bragging about my son, but I genuinely am proud of him, dude. Like, look at this. So my son got his standardized testing back. I know I keep bragging about it, but I really am proud of him, man. The least I could do is brag about him to the internet. Mathematics, he got 90th percentile. 90th percentile. He did better than 90% of the other kids. You can see him way up here versus the national average in math. And then reading, he got in the 95th percentile, which means he did better than 95% of the other kids. So shout out to my son, man. He did great. He did great. I'm proud of him. You know, I worried about him because, like, he's kind of like I was as a kid, which was a little bit more quiet. He's a little bit more quiet, a little bit. He lacks some social, like, he's not the most outgoing kid, you know? And so whenever that happens, you kind of worry. But this testing showed us that he's, you know, he's super smart. So good for him, man. I use VWAP. I use a bunch of different platforms, Sam, though. So, like, I might use Quant Tower, but I might watch the charts on TradingView using custom indicators is what I usually do. So I'm watching the VWAP. I'm watching everything, to be honest. But I've got four different monitors to watch him. Hey, baby. Come here, Rosie. Yeah, baby. Come here. Oh, yes, that's my good girl. This is Rosie, baby. Hey, baby girl. Hey, that's my good girl. That's my good girl. She's like, I don't want to come. All right, hold on one second, guys. Hey, Rosie, baby. Everybody always jokes with me. They say I sound like an old Cajun man or an old Cajun woman whenever I speak to the dogs. It's like my puppy voice. Hey, baby. How you doing, Rosie? She's just a good dog, man. That is just a good dog. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Bulldog? Hey, he's smart, man. Again, 95th percentile in reading. He also got in the 75th percentile in language, so a little bit lower. But to put it into perspective, that percentage is where they're at, like, versus other kids. So 90th percentile means he did better than 90% of the other kids. 95th percentile means he did better than 95% of the other kids. 75th percentile still means he did better than 3/4 of the other kids. And so not just the other kids in his class. This is worldwide. So good for him, man. Yeah, definitely an investor more than, I mean, traders can make money, bro, but investing is the biggest edge you'll get. It just depends. Like, the best thing that you can do for your kids early is create a fund for them when they're young and just put it in the S&P or the NASDAQ and just sit on that for like 20 years. By the time they're 20 or 30 or whatever, that's going to have appreciated so much that it'll pay for, you know, a lot of their life at that point in time. Hopefully is the goal, at least, you know. Yeah, definitely top 3 test takers of all time for sure. Yeah, and I was always a pretty good test taker. Like, I'm not claiming to be the smartest guy ever, but like I could always like a lot of high school, if I'm being honest. A lot of high school I didn't study at all, and I would still take the tests and do well, you know. Some of it I didn't, but I didn't really try that hard in high school. College, I did all right. Yeah, even if you just throw some money on there, Dustin, and just sit on the S&P 500 or some long-term stocks. Like the problem most people face in that regard is they put money in like crap. Like they put money in like mid caps that are hyped up at the time. Like if you isolate any hyped up company on any 5-year period, like there's going to be a lot of them that just fail. And so like if you're putting money in your kids' stuff long term, you just want to make it in sure things. Put it in Apple or Amazon or something like that you know is probably going to appreciate long term. By the time they're old enough to use it, it'll be a ton of money, hopefully. Yeah, what's VOO, Bulldog? I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with that. Is it a symbol? Oh, the Vanguard S&P. Yeah, for sure. That's a good one too. Where do you go to see how the platforms feel in trade? You just got to try them out yourself. You can go to TradingView. You just go to the website themselves. You could download the platforms on each of them before you actually sign up the top step. Like TradingView's web-based, but you could also download the app. You can download Quant Tower. I don't know if it has an app. Oh, why did the music stop? Did my headphones die? Not today, man. You should be pretty flat ahead of it. Can y'all hear the music again? Let me know. I'm gonna fix this and just reshare that and see if we can fix it this way. Hopefully, there we go. Yeah, Tesla earnings are next Wednesday on the 19th. We're gonna stream them all, but they're not today, bro. We got Michigan consumer sentiment in about 30 minutes, and then we're probably just gonna enjoy our weekend afterwards. What are you guys doing this weekend? Anything fun planned? All right, guys, we got 6 minutes until the open. NASDAQ sideways, flat, pretty weak looking. How is scalping the E-mini good when it's $250 a contract? Yeah, but $250 a contract's not that much when you consider how much the E-mini actually moves, bro. The E-mini for one contract is $12.50 a tick, right? Which means that like you take that trade, you're going to be profiting a large majority of it. Maybe you're talking about micros. Micros might be a different story. If you try to trade a bunch of micros, it's going to be a much harder time making money. But if you trade the regular E-mini, it's going to be the margin of commissions versus profit are going to be much less, man. You know, it's one of the reasons you don't see me trade micros much, because micros are mostly for learning, I think. Napping all weekend. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do. My in-laws are in town. Market just popped up, though. Look at the NASDAQ pop. See if there's some news behind it. JPMorgan's actually dipping down some. What's Apple doing? Yeah, I mean, I'm not scalping micros. I haven't traded a micro in like a week because the margins are just worse. You know, again, you trade the regular E-mini, it's going to be better. It's going to be better for commission margins. Jimmy, I have no idea what you should do, bro. I'm not going to tell anybody what to do, man. Especially something like that. Hopefully nobody on YouTube is telling you yes or no to that question, Jimmy. Jimmy says, I have 50 shares in JP Morgan. Sell them at market open or hold? Nobody should answer that because nobody knows whether you should sell it or hold it with very short-term price action, man. You know, if they are answering that, then they probably are just kind of trying to sell you something and hoping they get it right. But anybody that's responsible is going to say, hey, I don't know what you should do with JP Morgan at the opening bell, brother. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what JP Morgan's going to do, man. Yeah, next week it'll be fun. Next weekend we got Tesla earnings. Got a bunch of earnings next week, to be honest. A little bit better than the last few weeks of last week. We've had CPI and PPI and stuff, but we haven't had many earnings, or we haven't had any like big stuff in the afternoon. Next week we got some stuff, but it's mostly like an earnings week. S&P's flat, NASDAQ is flat. Just be careful today. There might not be any good trades to get in. I haven't found anything that looks good, to be honest. It's mostly flat. S&P's been in a sideways range on a 5-minute chart since like 7 a.m. this morning. So there's not really much going on here to find it in terms of edge. You see the NASDAQ up, down, up, down, up, down. Look how flat this is. This is just really flat. Up, down, up, down, up. We go down again, it just confirms even more choppy action. Netflix is next week as well, man. Hey, what's up, Tiny? Yeah, stay safe out there. So yeah, Netflix earnings are going to be next week as well. I think they are. I think Netflix earnings are Wednesday as well. So I think Netflix and Tesla and Netflix earnings both drop Wednesday evening, and we're going to stream them so you can keep track of what's going on. But Netflix typically is not as hyped up of an earnings call. Like the earnings report is relevant, but I think Netflix posts a pre-recorded earnings video that's about 45 minutes to an hour long. And with that, there's just less interest on the earnings call because it's pre-recorded and it'll be on the YouTube channel for Netflix. And so I'll give you guys that link when it happens. So subscribe, but we're also going to stream the full Tesla earnings call, the full Tesla earnings report, the full Netflix drop. There's also United Airlines, IBM, Las Vegas Sands, Discover, Zion Bancorp, a bunch of other earnings dropping that day. Equifax, FNB, National Bank, Wintrust. Just a lot of different earnings reports coming out next week. So earnings season is basically back at full swing next week, with the big one being Tesla. That's the biggest one for sure. But there's also like Morgan Stanley and a bunch of other earnings coming out too. What's up, Elijah? All right, man. Look at the S&P rip here. Is there a reason for this? There's 8:30 at the opening bell. Just a huge rip on the S&P 500, guys. Huge bounce. Wow. Crazy. It's not from JP either. JP Morgan's not really popping up that big at the opening bell here. It's not. I don't see anything else, but just a huge inflated run at the opening bell. Apple is what this is. This is Apple popping up. Apple over 190s again, dragging everything else up. But man, crazy big run. NASDAQ pumping. We're watching it. Not really getting any trades. I see JPMorgan surging back down. A lot of stuff's breaking down, including Apple, I think. AMC. So there's JP Morgan surging down. Some other stuff too, but NASDAQ's going crazy. All right, big surge in the NASDAQ. Again, we're kind of sitting tight, but the markets are pumping up here. Trying to see, what is Nvidia surging up? Nvidia ripped up to almost highs and then started to dip back down a little bit now. The question is, do these hold? All right, we're just pretty quiet right now. We haven't really traded super actively at the opening bell. We get a big enough pullback in the NASDAQ. NASDAQ still trying to hold. JP Morgan testing the bottom of that range here. Watch Nvidia. Nvidia is kind of what's influencing the market a lot. Hey, what's up, T4? Carvana, rip it up. Didn't you say you were short in Carvana, Bulldog? Maybe I might. I thought I read that. I might be wrong, though, brother. I'm not sure, man. All right, so another little pullback in the NASDAQ here. I'm going to buy one little contract here, see if we get a little pop back up. I think I'm... okay, we're down a little bit on this trade today on the NASDAQ. It's just one contract, though, and this is the big account. Man, Carvana is surging up here, guys. Carvana over 39s. All right, up 45. We're up a little bit. Now we're pulling back some. We got two contracts here. We're gonna see if we get a pop back up. We can take profit in the rip. There's the rip. Just took half off there, locked in profit, which is nice. Another big bounce here. I want to let it test highs today. There you go. All right, just made about $110 just now. I was trying to be patient for it, but you can see we're up 110 on this account on the day. JP Morgan started to bounce back. Coin ripping. Yeah, coin, guys, up to 115. Oh, man, that's a rough short today, Bulldog. Sorry to hear that, bro. That thing's flying. Depends on how long you got, though. I mean, you know, it's up a lot, but I think it's kind of a squeeze for CBNA. It's had a crazy year. JP Morgan did fill some of that gap on the downside, though. Again, we're trading this on Top Step. I like Quant Tower on Top Step the most. That's what you see me trading on. You see me buying and selling the S&P 500, or actually I'm buying and selling the NASDAQ. And the patterns are very similar in stocks. If you look at what the SPY's doing, it's basically been doing the same thing. So you can day trade futures, but there's no PDT rule. And the funded account programs are the easiest way to do it. No PDT in futures. You can day trade, buy market, sell market, buy bid, sell the ask. Top Step funds you if you hit their profit targets. They give you a demo and test your skill. Just taking the challenge builds you into a better trader. It's less risk if you lose. It's not the end of the world, but if you pass it, you get 90%. They give you a demo, 3K profit on the profit target. If you can hit 3K in profit without losing 2K, they fund you with a 90% split. So really useful. You can check out the link in chat right there. JP Morgan is starting to pop up big. It's at 141 or 151, almost 152 right now. Yeah, guys, I don't know if you should buy or sell anything. Asking me what you should do, if you should buy or sell something, is never going to get an answer from me ever. Again, there's just too much liability in saying yes or no in that situation. It's just not something I do. All right, we're going to get two contracts here. The regular NASDAQ. Big surge up, just took profit once. All right, just took another profit. You can see in day trading the NASDAQ, we are currently up on Top Step about $200, a little bit less than $200 here. Goal is to build up a cushion and then take some larger swings is the goal today. That's the goal. The trend is definitely up, and I try not to trade against the trend, but it is Friday, so y'all be careful. Oh, nice, Bulldog. Nice, man. Disney not happen with the open. Yeah, I mean, I took like more profit. I'm still green on the day on Disney, actually. Again, I bought the dip yesterday, took profit again this morning, so we're all right. Regardless of what happens there, we're still very green over the last like while for Disney. But man, look at the NASDAQ surge here in futures, just a huge pump. All right, finally gonna get dipped, but it's a little bit too high up there for me to really want to buy it right now. I'd have to wait and see what happens on like a pullback or something if we get it, to be honest. What's Nvidia doing? Nvidia is another big one to watch. That might influence the market a lot, and Nvidia is surging up. This is why the NASDAQ is going up so high. Again, this is why I'm buying this on the NASDAQ and profiting from it for the most part, because Nvidia is surging up like this. All right, we just took some more off. We are up 230 on the day now, 230. Watch Nvidia breaking highs. That's dragging the NASDAQ up. That's what we're paying attention to. So you can kind of see we're up 225 on the day. There's a P&L. Nvidia just broke highs again. I'm going to buy this again, and it might be risky, but Nvidia is still breaking highs. So the whole point is to see if this breaks highs again with Nvidia. We got a nice cushion on the day. If it doesn't, we'll be fine, but... All right, that looks like it's struggling. I'm going to go ahead and cut that. We're still up 170 on the day. Again, you got to watch Nvidia to see what Nvidia does. Kind of parabolic runs here, man. Nvidia still breaking highs. Again, it's so extended, I don't really want to test it too much because it could always dump fast, but it's also just super strong, so I don't want to trade against it either. Watching Nvidia. Nvidia finally started to correct a little bit just now. It's at 474s though. It's already back up here too. Nvidia breaking highs again here, guys. Wow. Question is, do we buy this dip? I'm going to buy a little piece of this dip, see if we get a little pop back up. Looks like it wants to bounce is the question, but does it? I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of going against me now. Maybe just buying up a little bit too extended. We're still green on the day. We got a cushion, but it's hard to trade this in the market because Nvidia's up so much that it's really extended on the upside short term. So like if it pulls back, it could pull back big. But it's so strong and it's had so many green candles and it's got so much interest right now. So many people paying attention to Nvidia that it also could just break highs and rip up. It's very unpredictable, I guess is the point. Yeah, long-term Nvidia is probably pretty extended, but short-term, we don't really know what we're going to get. Nvidia finally dipping down a little bit. All right, so finally dipping down some. I'm going to start buying this dip, but it's only going to be one contract. And yeah, just be careful with this volatility. It's Friday. The volatility is up there. Gotten just destroyed. And again, I was thinking about shorting it. I didn't get destroyed. I got lost like $150. We're now down $90 on the day. So we're very small in losses. But yeah, man, y'all just be careful. I'm probably going to sit tight for a little bit. I just don't like any of these. I think this is all risky. I think both sides of Nvidia is risky. I think on the upside, it's super risky. On the downside, it's super risky too. What do you guys think? Is Nvidia a buy or sell right now? Let me know what you guys think. And congrats, Shepard. That's great. That's awesome. Hope you guys keep making some money for sure. Yeah, huge sell order coming through. The question is, does it hold like a bounce dip buy now is the question. And again, I don't know. Surge up. You kind of got to wait for this volatility to settle a little bit too, because there's just so much risk. Depends on when Nvidia settles down. So we might buy this dip. So we get a quick little pop up that we can take profit into. There we go. Nice little pop. See if it holds. All right, we just made about $40 there scalping that. We are down like 70 bucks. Might buy this again. Nvidia with a big pullback though. That's the only thing. We are back to the VWAP though. There we go. There's a bounce. Cut that. Just profited a little bit more there. We're basically flat on this one today. Up here is the no man's land though. I mean, we could start to pump up. If Nvidia bounces at the volume weighted average price, it could make another test and swing and just go. Tesla's testing the pre-market high and the high of yesterday as well here. So in terms of bullish momentum, we might have some, but again, it doesn't mean we will, and anything can happen. Just be careful. The NASDAQ moves quick too, so yeah, you want to be careful. PFRX. Mark, I think you're really delayed on stream, brother. You sound like you're talking about something that we were talking about 3 hours ago. Hey, nice Israel. Or Israel. Sorry. All right, we bought up another dip here in the NASDAQ. Just profited another 30 bucks. That brings us to slightly green on the day. Slightly green. We might think about doing it again too. All right, so now we're up like 50 bucks on the day or so, 40 bucks. I see Nvidia start to surge. Beautiful movement here. So I am in two different accounts right now. One of them I'm up 240. The other one I am up about 50 bucks. So, and I'm watching Nvidia surge here. Might make another test. Nvidia starting to push towards the highs. Nvidia just tapped the highs, got up to 475.90s here at the highs. Just crazy big momentum right now, man. Just broke highs for Nvidia. Let me put Nvidia up on the right side here. And my keyboard sucks. There we go. Nvidia, guys, look at this. Another test. It's dragging the NASDAQ up. The question, does it keep going? Is the question. I really don't know. I just scalped a little bit more. Let's try it. All right, we just made another 100 on the other account. You can kind of see this 50K combine we're building up as well. We're up about 400 in profit. Just watching Nvidia break highs and watching the market continue to rip. which is kind of crazy. Yeah, I don't know when it's going to hold, what it's going to look like when it holds or anything like that. But crazy, honestly. I think it wants 500 is what I think it wants. And again, you can kind of see the futures market is moving exactly like Nvidia right now. This is one of the reasons like day trading futures is a lot like day trading stocks. If you look at the SPY, if you look at the look, here's the NASDAQ, and then here's Nvidia on the right side. You can see how similar. Here's Nvidia, here's the NASDAQ. Same price action, same movement. And you can day trade the NASDAQ with no PDT rule, instant settlement, great margin in futures. And Top Step is the most legit funded program in the world where if you're good enough to pass it, they fund you between 50K up to 150K with a 90% split. Here's the link. We do have the Michigan consumer sentiment data right there as well. They are a sponsor of mine. I'm certainly biased in their favor, but all right, we're making another test of the highs of the day here for Nvidia. I don't want to get overzealous though and take the trade yet. NASDAQ might be breaking highs of the day. I don't really like high of the day breakouts, but if there's enough momentum, they can work. But Nvidia pulling back a little bit, so we might reject at the high of the day level. Let's see if we make another pop for Nvidia. If we do, then we might buy the NASDAQ again, but we got to wait for Nvidia to potentially look strong again, like retrace or make a move towards highs, and then we'll take a quick scalp of Nvidia. At least that's the plan. Again, we're watching Nvidia very close because strength in Nvidia will mean strength in NASDAQ. And so if Nvidia looks strong, all of a sudden we're going to start clicking buttons on the NASDAQ here. Not quite in yet. Very close. Watching it. No, do not buy the trade. Do not buy the trade. Okay, there we go. Again, Nvidia right at the high of the day. Pulling back a little bit. 474s for Nvidia. Tesla flying up too, though. But there's Nvidia start to pull back. Again, you can kind of see the price action. Nvidia, NASDAQ. You can see why day trading is very similar in both. Because we're basically trading Nvidia right now, but we're using the NASDAQ vehicle to do it. Still consolidating on a dip, though, guys, so just be careful. Not quite there yet. I don't really see that big parabolic bounce back up to the highs yet that I want to see if I'm going to buy the NASDAQ again. There's more pullbacks in Nvidia. So yeah, there's the NASDAQ pulling back a little bit. Retrace, but not much. Another try to retrace, but not much on a short-term candlestick. That looks a little bit better, but still waiting. Question is does Nvidia make another test of these highs? Is what I'm watching, and I think that might be it. All right, so we bought the NASDAQ here. There's the surge. Almost there, about flat on the trade. Nvidia looks like it's popping up. Come on, NASDAQ. Flat on the trade so far. Fake this out a little bit, maybe. Yeah, we're gonna have to cut it. Gave back some of our profit. We're still pretty green. Again, Nvidia's still pulling back some is what's going on. Finally getting a big dip. And again, we're watching Nvidia. That last one didn't work, but we're up. And I think we just got to chill. And AMD's popping because Nvidia's popping. AMD's just sympathy movement with Nvidia is all that's going on there. All right, Nvidia finally starting to break down. Tesla's testing highs too. It's all AI sympathy right now. All right, Michigan consumer sentiment drops in about 3 minutes. So be ready. That might influence these markets too. We'll cover it when it comes out. Bought another dip here because I see Nvidia start to move. Looks strong. Slightly green. There we go, slightly green. Now we're retracing some, but Nvidia still looks like it wants to come up. I take 2 contracts of this if it starts to hold, unless Nvidia starts to get really weak, but Nvidia is still consolidating around highs here. So the question is still like, does Nvidia surge? And I don't know yet. And it looks like it's not. We cut that one. So we're red on this account for sure. Not super red though. We're green on this other account. So kind of a flat day. Like you can see on this one, we're green about 400. The other one, we're red like 200. Mostly just consolidation though in Nvidia. A lot of people are waiting for the next leg up in this move. But a lot of red actions showing up in some other stuff too. Scalped a little bit more with a little quick trade. We're up like 450 on the day here. UNH, yeah, UNH dropped their earnings this morning. All right, so here's the Michigan consumer sentiment data in less than a minute, guys. Less than a minute, this data comes out. And be careful, this could influence markets. We don't know if it will or not. It could. Just be careful. All right, so here's the release in about 30 seconds. Be ready. Again, Michigan consumer sentiment data comes out. Drops at 10, so expectations for this are 65.5. 20 seconds, guys, 20 seconds. 65.5 is what they're expecting. 10 seconds. This looks like it might pull back, so Nvidia looks like it might correct on the downside because, but here's the data release right here, 5 seconds. And here's the reports. Yeah, there's the big drop. All right, so Michigan consumer sentiment came in at 72.6. 72.6 for consumer sentiment and data here. 72.6, that's a big miss. Much higher than expected. That's bad for inflation. That's making the market drop. But 72.6 for Michigan consumer sentiment versus 65.5. So much higher than expected, which is better for economic growth, but worse for inflation worries. But yeah, here's the data right here. Big volatility though. We're still watching Nvidia to see what it'll do. The market retraced a lot. I don't like these big down wicks too much because a lot of the time they'll create this big down wick and then they'll come right back down and retrace it. Kind of fake people out. Maybe not though. This one did pop up. Yeah, there's the retracement. Yeah, so like I said, a lot of the time it'll move down, it'll retrace like it's going to bounce back up, and then it'll fill this little wick on the downside. Happens a lot. All right, see what happens. Big retracement. All right, so we got our daily goal on this bottom account. We are up about 900, a little bit less than 900 after commissions probably. So perfect day of about $900 in profit. We'll take that on that account. Would love to get this current account up to 900 in profit, but we're still green a couple thousand in this one, so we got a little bit larger cushion for this one. But yeah, that's the Michigan data. Nvidia breaking highs is what's going on here. Still a huge rip for Nvidia. Nvidia's breaking highs again. I'm going to buy this and see if we get a quick little bounce. And we did already. We got a little cushion. We'll see if we can let that work a little bit more. Again, this is the larger account I have. This is the 150K combine. So take a little 2 contract position, see if we get a little retracement bounce. But if we'll cut it quickly. Again, in this account alone, we're up a couple thousand already. And so if it starts to show choppiness, we don't mind losing a little bit because we just have enough room now. All right, that's 3 contracts. That's the last little ad I'm going to do here. And again, I got to be a little bit risk taking in these accounts to get funded. This one, we're up a couple thousand, so we can be a little bit more risky, which you see here. But my hand's over the cover button too. If we break down anymore, we just got to say, all right, that's it. Nvidia's up so much already. This might have been a little riskier trade. I love a retracement back up, but like, you know, low expectations. Oof. We're going to cut it. We're already up a couple thousand in that account, so we might have given back $1,000 or so in that one, but it's all right. Got to kind of watch everything else. Yeah, we're good. I'm glad to hit that first little $1,000 level. In the other account, we're green. Yeah, I think I'm going to just boot you out of here, man, or put you in timeout. Prince of Kings, I'm looking back at the chat log, man, and so you're either talking smack about a low view count or doing something that I always ask people not to do, which is just don't pressure people to do anything. Regardless of whether I win or lose, I got to take risks. And, like, yelling at me to do one thing or another is just not helpful. Green day here, too, shorting C3. Are you shorting C3 today, bro? That seems risky, man. Nvidia's pumping up. I'm assuming, wow, I'm surprised C3 is not moving up with Nvidia. With how much Nvidia is up, I assume most microchip stocks would be green on the day. AMD's surging up with it, though. The question is, how far does Nvidia go? Nvidia making another leg up here. Honest opinion of Nvidia. Nvidia is a good company, but it's up so much that there's risk there. I think there's just a lot of risk for that trade. Again, I don't know. Again, y'all hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We're kind of like we're flat overall. We're up about 1,000 in one. We lost about 1,000 in the other. And again, the goal is to be funded by the end of next week, and I think we will. But again, Top Step sale ends this weekend, so this might be the last stream that we cover the Top Step sale. It's $49 a month. If you haven't already, $49 for Top Step. Again, they give you a demo and they test your skill. And if you can hit the target while following their rules, they fund you between $50K up to $150K with a 90% split. Here's the base one. It's $49 a month up until Sunday. Sunday it ends, the sale. $3,000 profit target. So they're going to give you a $50K demo. You got to hit 3K without losing over 2K. Reasonable 2 to 3 ratio. 5 contracts is plenty. You can see how quickly 2 contracts at the NASDAQ can move for or against me. And so it makes sense. If you want a bigger account with more room, you can do that too. And again, just taking these challenges builds you into a better trader. It's $49 a month, and it just makes sense for trading. Like, it just teaches you how to trade. There's free funding coaches, just so many different resources where you get to keep your first 10K plus 90-10. Best payout policy in the game. Fast payouts. Only one rule. You can use multiple accounts. There's dedicated funding coaches. They give you free one-on-one coaching. Just a lot of great stuff with TopStep. Really cool resources. Teaches you how to trade. Really cheap. So if you want to day trade, check it out. I will post this link. And it's a great way to help support the channel. Also, guys, another thing that I've been using today is Chart Prime. In Chart Prime, trading view indicator service, you can use it in stocks, crypto, Forex, futures. Really, really useful. Like if you look at the NASDAQ, if I was just following Chart Prime alerts, I probably would have done much better today. I mean, we're still green. Don't get it twisted. Like we're still doing well, but like, let me show you this. So like, here's Chart Prime. Now, again, you can use this in stocks, crypto, Forex, futures. Here's the NASDAQ. It's a trading view indicator service. And again, so you can use it on stocks. You can use it on Forex. You can use it on futures. You can use it on whatever you want to use. And you get 40% off as well if you use my link. But like, look at the bottom. The real edge, again, guys, is when multiple show up together. Like here's a reversal up and a bullish hammer candle. Look at the huge green action you got. And this is a 5-minute chart. So this is hours of green action after that alert. If we keep going back here, you can see it literally called the very top right here too. Reversal down signal, drops for hours. Literally called the top here too. If you want to see that again, look, I'll zoom back down. Again, literally called the top here too. Reversal down, drops for like a 40-minute period. Reversal down here too, drops. This one might not have worked, but that's what, 4 out of 5, 6 out of 5, 7 out of 5, 8 out of 5, 9 out of 5. This one might have failed. But 10 out of 8, 11 out of 8. This one probably still worked. 12 out of 8, 13 out of 8, 14 out of 8, 15 out of 8, 16 out of 8, 17 out of 8, or 17 out of 15. 17 out of 15 of these worked if you go back and check on the NASDAQ. A 5-minute chart is my favorite one, but they give you these custom reversal signals, and there's so many different ones. Like I can put up chart patterns and see where the flags or wedges are on a 5-minute chart. I can put up smart money concepts and see what's going on there. Their oscillator, like their RSI type thing, is really powerful too. Like, yeah, you can see the little triangle showing up there. I can put up smart money concepts. There's just so much that they offer you for $35 a month. Very cheap, very useful. So check them out, guys. I'll see you guys later. Have a good weekend. Y'all have a safe weekend. And yeah, you can get 40% off if you use my link. I'm biased in their favor, of course. But yeah, I'm going to bail out, guys. I'm going to go enjoy my weekend. Y'all be safe. Y'all have fun. We'll see what the Tesla earnings show up next week. Tesla earnings are one of the biggest catalysts of the market, so y'all be ready next week. Nvidia is still ripping out, breaking highs, and I'll see you guys later.